welcome to Today in the Fourth Reich. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Maybe there will be some German friends who can help me ensure that my pronunciation is on par. Alrighty, so we are now, let's see, making sure we're streaming out. Looks good. Okay, so welcome everybody. Thanks for joining. Hi, Super. You're welcome to pop up if you like. Honestly, this is your time, your space. I'm here to offer sanctuary, if you will, in the midst of this whole storm that is America. Basically, it's done. It's over. We're 100 days into Trump's presidency, and long before this point, we had definitely achieved constitutional crisis levels, and so I've kind of called it a while ago. So I created a standwithsophie.com, which offers some survival guides, helpful tips, live trainings, action cards that you can print out, all kinds of things to help us get through this, because it's really bad. And I know a lot of people are scared. The cool thing, though, is that I don't live in America, so I am trying to use that as my superpower, that I'm undisappearable. So that's why I can talk as much SHIT. I don't know if TikTok will allow it, but Donald Trump can't do anything about it. So I'm going to continue to just share that he has overstepped. He's pushed America and the Constitution so far that there really is no going back. And so, again, I want to offer some trainings, some safe spaces. Scissor Mike, what's up? Trump 2028. He's really trying for that. It shows that your comment is hidden. Let's go ahead and approve that. Because people need to know, like, there's this whole contingent of people. First of all, he might be a bot. Second of all, there's just this whole contingent of people who do not believe and do not find that there's any issue or problem with what America and Donald Trump are doing, Elon Musk are doing. And so, honestly, like, that's fine. I'm no longer trying to convince people, cajole people, like, hey, the house is on fire. The house is on fire. Like, the house is on fire. Get out, batten down the hatches, get your fire hydrant, whatever you need to do. Like, if they're going to just go ahead and, fight the bad guys or trip themselves when we're being chased by the villain, and let us all get out and let us all survive, more power to you. So yeah, Trump 2028. Okay. Honestly, like, to even say that, Trump 2028, you're basically saying, fuck the Constitution. I don't care about that at all, because 2 terms for who? 2 terms for you, not for me. Yes, ma'am. What is it?
It's my letter from when I got bit. I got scratched.
Well, I'm sorry. Are you gonna hold that over my head forever and whenever? Not literally, silly goose. Hey, I'm working though.
Ever.
All right, thank you. But go to bed.
Yeah,
Mommy's working.
Forever.
Hey, you're gonna get me kicked off. You gotta go. Go to bed. I love you. I'm telling you.
I didn't know you were on that page.
Yes, you did. Go to bed.
No, I didn't.
I literally, okay. That's my baby, you guys. Good night. I love you so much. You going to sleep?
Sorry.
No, don't worry about it. Go to bed.
Sorry.
You don't have to apologize.
Sorry.
For what? What are you sorry for?
I'm sorry for interrupting you because I didn't know you were on the kids thingy.
Okay, well, I believe you. Go ahead and go to bed, okay? I love you. Can I have it? I want to keep it.
This is my hat. I have a scratch on it.
Aw. Is that a Band-Aid?
Yes. No.
That's just a scratch?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to keep it, okay? I love you.
Bye.
Bye, sweetie. I'm sorry. That's my sweet 6-year-old. Hi, Chris. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I shared a video with Chris that was a highlight from my last stream. That was kind of what we're talking about. It was like the epitome of what we were talking about. So like honestly, like the fact that there are these people who are still MAGA, diehard Trump, Trump 2028, like it's insane to me. So like you'll do your best to try to have a conversation to try to get through. But honestly, if they don't see that anything's wrong, what more is there to be said, That was scary. That was scary. It's almost like, you know, their racism precedes them so much that they can't get past their own hate to save their own skin. It's insane. But again, let them. We're just going to let them. So honestly, like what I want to do today is just kind of talk about, oh, thank you so much. Wow. Oh, thanks for the gifts, everybody. I really appreciate that. I think I don't know what this means. Oh, I have not gotten anything. It's like saying if you want to. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm still like a baby TikToker, so I'm trying to figure all this out. Ruff says MAGA won the presidency, the Senate, the House, and every swing state. What have you won, loser? Exactly. We are the biggest losers. It's really, really quite sad, Ruff. So that's why again I made standwithsophie.com. I don't know if you can see it, to try to help all of us losers come together so we can at least win when it comes to supporting each other, at least win when we're getting detained or being pulled over or getting raided. We have a community, we have a means to have somebody come and document, to have our back, to get our lawyers on the phone. So again, go to standwithsophie.com. Make sure you're following me. Do your tappy taps, please. Help get this live out because I'm trying to offer some ways to have not only community support, but actionable things that we can do. So actually this Saturday, I'm going to do a set it and forget it survival class where essentially, no problem. Thanks, Chris. Or essentially we're going to have a 2-hour hands-on focused training on hardening your devices, make sure your tech is in place, that your privacy is set up, that you're deleted all over the internet if you can help it, that you have your printed action cards in case you're detained, that your phone is already set up with a shortcut where if somebody comes up on you like they did Rumeysa Ozturk, all you have to do is say your keyword and your phone will automatically start to do a rollout where it sends your location to your emergency contacts. It starts recording. It sends that file to social media or wherever you want it to go. So it's backed up. So no worries. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for sharing too. I really appreciate that. So yeah, it's definitely, it's scary times, but I don't want people to cower in fear. This is when we need each other the most. And so honestly, like it's really just about having your go bag ready, making sure that if things pop off, you're prepared, and that's it. And not in this duck build dynasty, kind of way, like prepper sort of situation, but more in a way where we're building community, where you know your neighbors, where you already have a plan in place, you have some contingencies and some backups. And so that's really what I'm trying to promote with standwithsophie.com. But as far as like just the events of the day, I feel like I'm becoming a bit of a broken record when it comes to things like this second signal chat issue, or even Donald Trump wearing blue to the Pope's funeral. Like there's all these things that happen. The tariffs, China basically saying, I'm not talking to you. Like, I don't know what he's talking about. All these things that are happening every single day, they're all just distractions. They're all just kind of pointing our attention away from the fact that, everything's kind of done. There's really no coming back from any of this, from none of it. And so ultimately, we have to start looking at like, what are we going to do next? What are we going to do after the dust settles? Because it will implode on itself. I think we're so fortunate that Donald Trump is so stupid. This man can't even read. He is literally functionally illiterate. And so the fact that, that is our only saving grace, our only saving grace, because if he was any bit smarter, then we would be way past the point where he is. We're on that same path. We're well along that same pathway of getting to this point. But as far as like all the different ways that these men are alike, all the different ways in which they are weaponizing their governments to go after media and their opposition. They're sending people out of the country to camps and detention centers that are much more strenuous and outside of the law. Just like we have El Salvador, Auschwitz was in Poland, friends. It wasn't in Germany. So the fact that they both say fake news, they both are all about law and order. They're both strong men. They're both cults of personality. They both have parents where the father was authoritarian and the mother was very submissive. They both are hijacking the arts for some reason. They're both galvanizing the youth. You had the H-man's youth, and this guy is now trying to have his hands in the education system, of course, attacking the DOE, and trying to put the curriculum in place that he wants. He's attacking civil rights. He's attacking Black people and brown people, just like he focused on the J people. And so it's really sad that we're really overlapping. And here's what I'm going to do. I think that I said something or did something, and so I'm not. No one's here. So thanks for joining. I'm going to stop it and start it back, or maybe I can just do a flare, because I must have said something, because it's like, no, we're not going to put you out to anyone. So I must have done something. I have 2 flares, so I'm going to try to do a flare and see if that brings some folks in. Okay, so we'll see how that goes. But honestly, one of the things I wanted to lift up today is kind of a bit of an elephant in the room. So I have some questions for you, dear audience, and I also just had some thoughts in regards to Black men. I had a really interesting back and forth with somebody. Again, I just posted a video with this outwardly racist man trying to convince me that no, people who say Mayo Sapiens and Sun Dodgers and Honky are the real racists, and so I shared the video and showed his hypocrisy. And one of the only comments that I received on the Instagram post for that was from somebody who I would have considered a friend of like 20 years. Just, I guess more of an acquaintance that I knew from way back, but he's a Black man. And he wrote just the most scathing comment on that video, basically siding with the racist man and saying, oh, you're gaslighting him, and you're hey tribe, you're gaslighting him, and honestly, you're married to a white man and you have 2 kids with this guy and you're perpetuating European culture. So who are you to talk about racism? And so it just got me to thinking, like, okay, so when it comes to Black men in this conversation, first of all, yes, most Black men sided against Trump, Oh, no worries. Hi, Tribe. Oh, no problem. Yeah, I really, really want Tribe on my podcast, the Stand with Sophie podcast. I'm trying to cajole and convince him to come on because his knowledge is unparalleled. This man's mind needs to be mined. So, yeah, just get back to me when you get a chance. It's really no worries. Thanks for popping in. Same with Chris. I think it's just so nice to see you guys. You get so nervous. Oh my gosh, no, don't be nervous. If you want, I can send you some questions in advance. Literally whatever you need. I will make you as comfortable as possible. No, what's so funny is if you want to maybe get a feel for my style, you can check out the Sex with Sophie podcast. That has a few episodes out before we retooled and tried to, again, become a bit of a haven for people with Stand with Sophie. So, yeah, check out Sex with Sophie on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And you can hear my style and the back and forth that I have with people if you want to see how I roll. Yeah. And we can definitely pick up the conversation because I really, really want to have that same energy that I felt with you when we were talking about this guy. So I feel like you know so much more than me, and I'm very cognizant of where I know things and where I don't know things. And so happy to shore up my deficiencies with somebody who is just so knowledgeable and so amazing and so well articulated with some of these nuances of history that I absolutely did not know until you brought them to my attention. So, yeah, Tribe, you're amazing. I really, really, really want you on my show. So, thank you. That was really good. That was really good. Yeah, I feel like we always kind of get some crazy people. And so if you're on, make sure you're tapping, make sure you're sharing, because I really do want to try to push this out because I'm really wanting to promote first and foremost that on Saturday I want to do a live training that's public. I do them on standwithsophie.com for my members. But thank you guys so much. But on Saturday, I'm just going to do a public one where we're literally going to go through your phone and make sure that all of your settings are set up, that you make sure nobody's forwarding your phone and you weren't aware of it. We're going to make sure that all of your double opt-ins are on, that your passwords are safe, that your privacy is straight. And we're also going to make sure you have shortcuts set up, so that if you are detained, if somebody rolls up on you like they did Rumeysa Öztürk, the Turkish student, that you can just say a word if you can't use your hands, and it'll set off a shortcut on your phone. We're going to set that up where automatically it will send your location to your emergency contacts, that it will start recording a video. It will send that file to social media or to a safe space. Literally, you can do all these things with just a word. And so that's one of the things that we want to set up with you on Saturday. So again, make sure you go to standwithsophie.com or just check out my events and you can do that. Yeah, this is my background. This is my show today in the Fourth Reich. So we are daily just talking about how we are more and more and more following in this man's footsteps. And it's really quite scary. In the first show that I did in this vein, we literally just talking about how these two are similar took like 30 minutes. Just going through from their parents, how their parenting and upbringing was so similar, to the ways in which they put sycophants around them and they have criminals around them, how they flout the law, how they both feel like they were operating under a mandate, despite the fact that they did not win by any sort of popular measure. This guy won with like 33% of the vote. And if you look at the voting population, this guy only got 31% of the voting population. So it's actually quite scary how similar they are. But furthermore, how far along the lines we are with just how many steps we're taking in his footsteps. So it's really, really quite sad. Let's see, what's with the background? If Kamala won, she would have taken the Second Amendment away. Okay, so I think it's quite sad that we want to look at these what ifs and we're not even looking at the fact that our First Amendment, 14th Amendment, Fifth Amendment, 13th Amendment are all being bastardized or removed altogether right now. So, yeah, I don't give a shit what Kamala would have done. The fact that things are happening now that absolutely constitute a constitutional crisis. I think that's a little bit more important. And if you don't, goodbye, you really don't need to be here, because we're talking about what to do given the fact that America is done. There's no coming back from the things that this man has done to our country. We have lost all respect in the world. Our economy is done. The Constitution is done. And here's the thing. I'm a bit of an anarchist. So I hate to say it, but that's like the tiniest sliver of a silver lining that I can attribute to Trump, is that maybe now we can watch this unfold, let the dust settle, and then come up with something better together that doesn't put us right back where we fucking started. That doesn't put us right back where we will just wind up with another Trump somewhere down the line. Every single president that we've had from George Washington on has done nothing but carve out more and more power for the executive branch, to the point that now we were just operating on hopes and dreams and norms that obviously were so easy to be flouted. And that's what happened. So that's how we got here. And now that we're here, again, I'm hoping that this is a wake up call to look and say, okay, maybe the Constitution, as great as it was, as much as it allowed for amendments, and we were growing as a people, as good as a start as we had, maybe that's not what we need anymore. Maybe the fact that these men who had weaponry that needed to be hand refilled every time you wanted to shoot again, maybe they're not the best to give us how we should operate a militia or what we should do with our Second Amendment. These men who had what we would have as an equivalent education to like a 12-year-old today, maybe we shouldn't ask them. The fact that they owned people, maybe we shouldn't rely on them for how we operate today. And honestly, I was even thinking about this for a while, in the sense that we are a democratic republic. We are a democracy in the sense that we vote on things, right? And we're a republic in the sense that we are represented by people, so that, a large group of folks will have a single person who speaks for that group. And honestly, those two things are so antiquated. They're so antiquated. Do we really need, in the days of the internet and the ability to do a quick poll and the ability to have very secure communications, do we really need to send someone to go speak for us? Aren't we much better able today to speak for ourselves, given the technology and devices that we have today? Also, as far as the whole democracy thing, obviously majority rule is bullshit. If we went by majority rule, well, we did. And now we have Trump. So it's kind of like, is that really the best way? Honestly, like, thanks, Scott. I mean, I feel like it's just something to think about. Again, I hate that things are being torn down. As much of an anarchist as I am, I don't want things to just be torn down, because I feel like that leaves people in a lurch. I don't want to see anybody get hurt or harmed in the process of America figuring itself out. But since that's what's happening anyway, that's where we are. Again, I just hope we look at what we want to see come out from this. I mean, Scott, what are your thoughts? Like, what kind of government or society do you feel could rise from the ashes of what Donald Trump is doing to us? For me, I just feel like there's ways that we could lean on technology better, that we maybe have some kind of ambassador for the United States that goes and represents us on the world stage, as far as communicating what our collective polls are about whatever initiative we want to fund or be a part of. I also just think that there are differences between us. And it's really quite sad that people who are uneducated, food costs, gas prices. Yeah, I feel like, honestly, if we lived in a society where the oil and gas companies weren't able to manipulate and lobby and get subsidies and all these different things, we would probably all be on like electric vehicles. We probably all be using solar power. We probably all be using, renewable resources and stuff. It's like we're literally going back to coal. Trump said, coal, y'all, coal. So we can get the black lung pop, like it's like really. I just feel like it's insane that capitalism is what's holding us in a prison of climate change and having to basically be beholden to these antiquated models again. So nobody wants to. I think nobody really wants to have a gas car. The only reason to have a gas powered car. But that's what I'm saying. Like if everybody, if the market wasn't even a thing, like if capitalism wasn't what ran our country, I think electric vehicles would become more affordable as we put our energies toward developing software that helps batteries run longer. Thanks for tapping, you guys. I really appreciate that. And share if you can, do all the free stuff. I do have, like, if you can join my team and stuff for like a coin, but still don't do the free stuff. If you can tap and you can share, that's great. If you feel like following, please do. But yeah, it wouldn't become about affordability. It would become about what's best for us as a people, for us as a society. Again, definitely something that is probably pie in the sky. And it's asking if I approve your comment. I sure do. Says the rich should be taxed more. Again, I feel like if in a perfect world, maybe I'm a little Marxist, maybe I'm a little socialist, maybe I'm a little communist, I don't know. But I feel like in a perfect world, there would be no rich. There would be no people having billions of dollars. There was a Tupac video where he was saying something along the lines of like, why are there millionaires? How can you sleep at night when there are people who don't have anything? How do you have a house that has 52 rooms and there's somebody who doesn't have a room? Like, it makes no sense to me. And he was talking about millionaires. And I'm like, if he only knew the world that we would be in now, where there are billionaires, and a man who was, before he wrecked his own shit, barreling toward becoming our first trillionaire. Like, it's insane to me. Like, do people realize how much money that is? Like, it would take you, what is it? Something along the lines of 23 days to count to 1 million. And correct, I'm probably butchering the shit out of this, but it would take you something along the lines of 18 days, 23 days to count to 1 million. It will take you 34 years. 34 years. Is that right? I think it's way more than that, but it's something along the lines of like decades and decades to count to 1 billion as opposed to days for 1 million. So just the scale at which these people are hoarding money is absolutely insane. And it's just unnecessary. It's unnecessary. So yeah, I feel like in a perfect world, again, if things get demolished in America so badly that we're able to start from scratch, it's not going to happen. But if we could, there would be no such thing as billionaires and millionaires. Money might not even be a thing. We might have, go back to some sort of other system. Who the fuck knows? I just know that operating on a constitution, operating in a system that allowed for slavery as long as it did, operating in a system that allowed for implicit bias and systemic racism as long as it did, to this day, in a system that still is under what's called coverture. Have you ever heard of coverture? Scott says, I think the government should do more for our veterans that fight for this country. They absolutely should. And honestly, in a perfect world, would we even have veterans? Like, I would never want to send somebody off to war. I would never want to send somebody off to, I just read a book called The Body. Oh, what is it called? The Body Holds the, oh gosh, I got to find it. Oh my gosh, it's such a good book. It's about PTSD. It's about the body keeps the score. The body keeps the score. And it's all about just how detrimental PTSD is to us, not only mentally but physically. And so yeah, just to see what being a veteran entails, especially a veteran who was on active duty, who was in an active war, like my big brother. My big brother was in Iraq. He went to Afghanistan, and he came back like a totally different person. Like, so it's, it's devastating how we're treating our veterans, how we treat our mothers, how we treat our women, how we treat our children. Like, you might have missed this if you came on. I don't think it's a lot of folks on now, sorry. But I don't live there. So I'm taking my superpower of being undisappearable and I made standwithsophie.com because I live in the UK. So you can't get me. I'm going to continue to talk shit about Trump. I'm going to continue to offer resources and ways forward for us to grow community, for us to have some survival skills, like what I like to call set it and forget it survival. So we have our go bags ready. We have, water filtration in case the water goes out. We have satellite phones. We have ways to connect in case things are going to shit. If they don't, perfect, wonderful. But if things go to shit, you need to be ready. And I have the means and tools to help you get ready at standwithsophie.com. I have friends that served and that came different. Yeah, that came back different. Yeah, it's insane, like how we treat our veterans. And so again, in a perfect world, maybe we don't have war. Maybe we resolve things a lot differently than we do today. Maybe that money that goes towards the military industrial complex is used for better things. Maybe we don't use money. Who fucking knows? But ultimately, I'm hoping that, again, the destruction of America allows for something better to rise from the ashes, because I don't really want to go back to the way it was. Somebody said if Kamala was in office today, if Kamala was in office to, like, if today, 100 days in, there was some fluke that was found, and oh no, Kamala actually won, and okay, so she goes, we're still done, y'all. America's done. America was kind of done well before Trump. I think he's just unveiling how done we are. So, yeah. So basically, there's no way to rebuild the relationships that he has demolished. There's no way to salvage our economy in any real way that's going to be sustainable or quick. Like, it's going to be a long time before we come out of like this, because we're still barreling towards a recession. We're not even in the recession yet, and prices are already insane. Inflation's already insane. Retail prices as well as material prices, shipping prices, and that, and the tariffs aren't even in effect really yet, are they? So it's a whole situation. But as far as just, again, what we might get, where we might be, Sam Fitness. Oh, I need to talk to you. Hi, Sam. How are you, sir?
Hey,
I'm
how
gonna
you
guess,
doing?
sir. Sorry.
Hello.
Hi. Anything
I,
percolating to the top for you?
you wanna ask me some questions?
um, that's not really what this show is about. Your show says, or I'm sorry, your handle is Sam Fitness.
Yes.
I need to be working on my fitness, especially in these times. What
Yeah,
would be your tips for
you gotta
a
be able to fight. You gotta be able to fight back against the Trumpers.
you got to be able to run. You got to be able to. I mean, I'd say running at the very least. Like what would be your recommendations though, like for building cardio, for getting into a good routine? That's probably my biggest problem is routineness. Do you have any recommendations? Sam, I can't hear you. Sam, maybe, yeah, I don't know if you muted or. Oh, okay. Well, maybe Sam can come back on and give us some fitness tips. That's going to be a huge part of standwithsophie.com. Again, we have community, we have secure comms, we have ways to talk to each other, where we can start organizing and building community, as privately as possible. There's people can still screenshot, people can still whatever, but if you want as secure, calm of a communication system as possible, Again, please join me at standwithsophie.com, just because ultimately I feel like my superpower of not being in America and being a bit undisappearable, I know that doesn't extend to everybody. So I would never want to encourage people to, uh, you know, do anything as far as like protesting or organizing in a way that could get them harmed or get them disappeared. So just because I don't live in America doesn't mean I'm going to set you up for failure. And because you could get got, and I don't want that. So again, standwithsophie.com has secure comms. We have ways to support each other if things go south, or they're pretty far fucking south, but if they go more south, we have some ways to help each other out. I have gear lists. I have one button shopping carts where if you like everything that you see on this list that is for this particular survival thing, whether it's power going out, if you're a lady, if you have kids, we have printable action cards. Again, we have iPhone shortcuts that you can automatically download so you can just say a word if you're being detained. I like to practice what's called set it and forget it survival. So, we're this Saturday, especially, I have a class if you want to register for the live event called Set It and Forget It Survival, where we're going to go through your phone and make sure that your privacy is intact, that your vulnerabilities are hardened, that you have your shortcuts set up, that two-factor authentication is in, that you have, all kinds of devices and apps and things that are going to help you to stay safe. Let's see, Ghost Lewis says, what's the big deal of what's going on in the world? Why can't we just worry about the little things? What do you mean? Like, what are you worried about? I'll tell you what I'm worried about. I'm worried about, all the people who are being disappeared from college campuses. I'm worried about people getting sent to El Salvador without any due process, which is a process called rendition, by the way. People keep saying, oh, they're being kidnapped, they're being deported. That's not correct. It's called rendition. And so rendition is where you move a criminal or a suspect to a different location that could be out of the state or out of the country in order to basically torture them or use practices that are not sanctioned in the home state or country. Sam, let me pull you up, sweetheart. I love your profile picture.
Thanks. I just want to let you know you're in here talking to no one like a schizo.
I know nobody wants to come hang out with me. Thank you for coming up. Then I appreciate it. What's on your mind?
I think you're really stupid.
Why?
I mean, you seriously believe what you posted behind you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I feel like it's not even about me. It's literally about like the connections that you can see in history with their personalities, with the actions they're taking. So yeah, these are one and the same. Like
really?
Literally. Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, why do you feel defensive of either of them? Out of curiosity.
Because what you're doing is simply untrue, fear mongering.
How so? Please let me know.
So once whatever the number is, 2 million? Once 2 million people die, then maybe you can make that comparison.
But how do you think that he got there? How do you think the first person got?
He was elected democratically.
Yeah, he was. Yes, you're absolutely right. To the Weimar Republic, which was a democracy.
So just because he was elected democratically by the people means that he's the H-man now, huh?
Oh, I thought you were talking about him, because he was elected democratically. H-man was elected democratically. Are you aware of that?
I never denied that.
I'm sorry, what?
I never denied that.
No, I'm just saying, like, you're saying it as if he wasn't, and he was. I thought you were talking about H-man. Yeah, H-man was elected democratically in the same way that Trump tries to claim that he was elected with a mandate to do all the things that he's doing. But he was only elected with a 1.5% margin, which was the smallest in history.
Well, he still won
Yeah,
though,
this
right?
guy only won by like 33%. So he actually had to form what's called a coalition government because he did not win by a landslide or by not even by a majority. Even he had to actually again partner with another party in order for him to actually come into power. So yeah, crazy
But
sauce how
Trump,
similar
Trump
they
still
are.
won, right?
Yeah, and that's why we're fucked.
And the Republicans won the House, right?
And the Senate, yeah.
And the Senate. So I call that a pretty clear mandate.
Well, why?
Obviously, people have rejected the Democratic Party far and wide. That's
And
no.
rightfully so. And rightfully so. I mean, look at how the Democrats are handling, anything that they claim to be upset about. They're writing letters, they're wearing pink, they're holding up fucking signs,
Yeah, they're a bunch of idiots. I know.
Yeah, I agree. So what would you like to see happen once the dust settles from Trump destroying the country?
Wait. Are you a leftist?
No, I am a leftist, but I'm not a Democrat. I vote unaffiliated, so I don't really choose a side. I choose what I think is best.
Or would you consider
Um,
yourself like a socialist?
no, I don't really. I'd say I'm probably more. I used to be kind of ANCAP. Now I'm probably just kind of anarchist in a sense, but I don't think that's realistic. I don't think we're going to like even with Trump destroying America, I don't think that things are going to topple to the point where we can actually rebuild our society in a way that would be this ground up approach where we can say, oh, let's try Marxism, let's try socialism. It's never going to do that. So you know
So
that
so so how exactly is he destroying America? I'm so intrigued.
well, America is the Constitution, right? Or you would say it's is based on the Constitution, correct?
Well, I wouldn't say it's based on the Constitution. That's the way we govern ourselves, yes, but it's not based on the Constitution.
So what is it based on?
What is America based on?
If not the Constitution.
Like I said, that's the document that we use to provide the standard set of rules across the federal government. That's not what it's based on.
So what is it
America
based on?
was founded because of the Declaration of Independence, right? So you want to say what it's based on,
Okay.
but the Constitution is a set of rules that can be changed, right? So it's not set in stone.
Okay. So let's look at both things. If we say that America was founded on the Declaration of Independence, what is the Declaration of
Which is
Independence? It's
historically
saying that
accurate and correct. That's a correct statement.
okay, sure. But if that's the case, then the Declaration of Independence was America saying, A, we do not want a king. We do not want to operate under uh, royalty of any sort. Trump literally just said, he's a king. He literally has stated that he wants to be a dictator and has absolutely enacted that. Like, so I feel like
So in what way? You're making all these
also,
claims, and yet I haven't seen anything to back it up yet.
well, this is not a debate show. I'm not here to try to say, my rebuttal to your, whatever is this. You're literally saying that America is based on the Declaration of Independence, which is saying that we don't want a king, and yet we literally just elected a man who stated that he is now the king. And so like we're that's the way in which I think America is done. So the fundamental ideals of America are being stepped on and trashed by this dude. So yeah, America's over.
Again, you're
Um,
just saying stuff, but like
but
I'm not. I'm
what
not.
is wrong with what I'm saying? You have not
I
pointed
mean,
out
you're
how I'm
just you're
wrong.
just stating opinions. You're not really bringing up
How
any
is it an
factual
opinion that
evidence
he
behind your
literally said
opinions.
he was? I'm sorry, did I talk over you? Go ahead and finish your
No,
thought. I'm sorry.
no, you didn't. Go ahead.
No, I feel like I'm stating what I'm seeing him actually say and do. But again, how am I wrong? Like what are you finding fault with?
I don't see any king behavior. No, we still have checks and balances, no matter what you say. they still exist.
Well,
He just had articles of impeachment brought up against him. You think a king is able to get impeached?
well, he was impeached twice. So, here's the thing. Like, you're talking about the checks and balances. And he has literally flouted all of those checks and balances, starting with the legislative branch. We're all up in arms about the judicial stuff that he's doing right now, but he has not once used the Congress that he controls. So if he wanted to enact tariffs, why would he not let Congress do the process that they're supposed to do to enact the tariffs? If you wanted to set off all these mass deportations, that's something that you still run through Congress, or at least the agencies that that the executive branch and Congress
Says
both
who?
have control over. So it's just odd to me that he doesn't even use the legislative branch, even though he controls it, or the Republicans control it. It's as if he's trying to say, I don't even need the checks and balances because I can just operate with executive orders and as the president and as the unitary executive. So I don't know. I just feel like in whatever context you say, he has flouted.
So who says if I need to set up tariffs, I need to go through Congress? Who says that?
That is what the law is.
So what law is that exactly?
Think about this. The only other time we enacted tariffs was the Smoot-Hawley, when the congressman and the senator got together, Smoot and Hawley, to enact tariffs, and under, oh gosh, was it Reagan? And failed miserably, but that was Congress that enacted it. So once the president said, yes, this is fine, we're going to do this, Congress had to pass laws to enact the tariffs.
So I'm gonna stop you right there. That's again incorrect. We have used tariffs
Probably.
for years and years and years.
No, not unilateral across the board tariffs. We've done targeted tariffs. We've done tariffs that I think are used appropriately to try to mitigate where there were trade deficits, reasonably with like China and places that were taking advantage of, our system or whatever. But to just say across the board, that hasn't been done since Smoot-Hawley.
Okay, so what do you think the point of the tariffs are exactly? Just random, willy nilly, or what?
Just like for me, the point is that it's something he got in his head. And I'll tell you what I learned recently, which is crazy. The whole Peter Navarro guy or whatever, he's been rolling with this guy for a very long time. And so I think Peter Navarro, who's kind of the architect behind the whole tariff thing, got it in his head that this was a good idea. And he actually, I'm going to butcher it, but Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law, was tasked with finding a finance guy to help Trump when he was first entering politics. And the guy that Jared Kushner, found to help Trump figure out how he's going to run finances and learn more about finances or whatever was Peter Navarro. Peter Navarro wrote a book on tariffs and finance. And the person that he used to substantiate his claims about why tariffs were good and stuff in the book was some guy named Ron Avon or something like that. Turns out the Ron Avon guy, who's supposedly this mastermind finance guy who's seconding everything that Peter Navarro is saying, doesn't exist. It's just the anagram of Navarro. So he literally made up a person to justify his bullshit claims about why tariffs are good and how you should run the economy. And then Kushner found him by looking up Amazon books on finance, liked what this guy said, and that's how Peter Navarro got with Trump.
Yeah,
It's
but
the craziest
I'm
stupidest
asking
story.
you what you think the point of the tariffs are.
Well, I'm just saying, I think the point is that Trump got bad information, but he's a narcissistic baby. And so, Navarro was telling him tariffs were good. And so he keeps thinking tariffs are going to be this good thing, even though there's no justification for it at all. And so now he can't renege on that.
Okay.
He's got to stick with he's got to stick with it because he's too narcissistic to say he was wrong.
Why does every other country tariff us then, if they're so bad?
What other countries tariff us?
Practically all
Tariff
of
us
them.
unilaterally.
I'm asking you, like, why? So you
Are
don't
you
get
talking about like the board that he held up to show the reciprocal tariffs that he's doing?
Okay, so it's not incorrect to say that every single country practically tariffs us. Correct?
Not unilaterally.
Almost every country has tariffs on us.
I don't think that's true. And
That's
in
true.
fact, well, okay, let's run with that being true.
Well, it is true because
All
tariffs
right.
are a way that you balance your trade deficit, like you said, right? Tariffs are a way to balance your trade deficit, right? So the point of the tariffs, I'm gonna explain this to you very, very simply. Right? We want to knock China down from their powerful standing right now, right? So China operates on a mass export market, right? If they don't export, right, then they don't get paid. And since all their factories are subsidized by the government, that means the government doesn't get paid. Does that make sense?
Which government?
The CCP. So it's no secret, and you can look this up, that the CCP subsidizes practically all their factories.
Okay.
Almost every single factory in the CCP is subsidized by the government, right?
Okay.
So when China, like I said, China operates on a mass export market. So they push out so many goods and they flood so many goods through markets that's how they make all their money, by cheap goods, right? So if you can tariff these cheap goods, that means their price is going to go way up and no one's going to want to buy them, right? So China's going to try to export all their goods across the world. And unfortunately for them, America is the number one buyer of Chinese goods. Right? So when China goes and they have all these pallets of cheap goods sitting, nobody gets paid, like I said. So they're going to try to export them to other countries. But the thing is, none of these other countries want these Chinese goods because they're not as big of consumers of the goods as we are in America. So they say no, they turn them away. So all these pallets of Chinese goods sit in the warehouses for weeks and weeks and weeks. And so nobody gets paid. And that's how you destabilize a government.
But China said that they're in this fight for as long as it takes.
Right.
So that doesn't sound like they're being very destabilized for them to say we're fine with holding out as long as Trump keeps this up.
So China practically imports nothing, though, right? They only import the raw material needed.
No, that's not true. That's not true at all. They import quite a bit, and they import quite a bit from us. There's, like, honestly, tariffs are not meant to correct trade deficits. You would use maybe embargoes for that, but not tariffs. I feel like I'm not an economist, I'm not an economy person, but I do listen to people who know more than me. And so it seems like every economist in the world is saying that tariffs used unilaterally like this are not a good idea. They're going to cause more price increases for Americans. But here's my whole thing. Like, we're already seeing just the threat. Like, I don't think a single tariff has actually been enacted yet, right?
Not to my knowledge.
So just the threat of these tariffs has already tanked not only our stock market, but our bond market is suffering. Oh my gosh.
Well, the stock market doesn't work on if companies are doing well or not. It works on how people feel about the current outlook. So that the stock market is not an indicator of the economy, but rather a symptom of the economy.
Okay. Well, I guess that's why, again, seeing that the bond market is also being affected is really, really a bad sign, given that that is the market that you don't want to see have any volatility. What now? Oh, hold on 1 second, Sam. Baby, what's up? Okay, I'll check it later. Thank you. Go to bed. It's late. I'm so sorry. Um, she's 6, and so she doesn't understand. Like, if she gets on my screen, then TikTok will think I have like a under 13-year-old person.
Mhm.
So poor thing. But no, I guess like I appreciate you explaining it to me, and I we can certainly go back and forth on what's the point and all that. But I guess for me, um, like I'm more interested in how do we help people uh, navigate a coming recession. Like are there ways that we can help people to stock up on some things now? What are the things that you want to try to stockpile in case
Right.
prices do go crazy?
Well,
Can,
we've
can you
been in a
start?
recession.
Sorry, what now?
We've been in a recession. The federal government actually changed the definition of a recession in the Biden administration. That's why we're not officially in a recession. We've had 4 quarters of negative GDP growth, which indicates a recession.
I mean, again, like you are so much smarter than me when it comes to this stuff that I will concede that that's true. Sure, okay, but for me, again, for laymen like myself who do not understand the nuances, but who are more concerned about liberty, he also agrees that Biden caused a recession. Okay, so sure, let's say that that's the case, and the reason we're going to be in a recession is because of Biden and not Trump's tariffs. Fine, we're
Well,
still facing a fucking recession, right? So
even the Smoot-Hawley tariffs didn't cause the Great Depression. As much as people like to point to that, we were already in the Great Depression when those tariffs were enacted.
sure.
Like
So
it didn't
since
help,
we're
obviously, but it
sorry,
didn't
what?
cause the Depression. It didn't
It didn't
help,
help.
but it didn't cause the Great Depression. It didn't cause the Great Depression to sink any further than it would have.
Okay,
Right?
sure,
There's
but
no benefit.
if you were in the time frame, or if you were around in the time period at which this Moo Holly stuff was going down, and you had a heads up from history, or you had an economist friend, or you just felt like, okay, this might not be a good idea, and lo and behold, there was a Great Depression. Wouldn't you have wanted to be a little bit better prepared before the Great Depression hit? So whether or not Smoot Hawley was the catalyst, it's that might have been a good time for people to make preparations before the actual Great Depression came into being. So that's all I'm trying to do with my show and with Sophie.com, is to say, okay, we have this whole tariff situation. We see the economy going down. We see the bond market showing volatility. We're seeing the fact that so many foreign countries, including China, own so many of our bonds that they could literally, sell off and crash our whole economy. Like any little thing could happen.
That's also an incorrect statement. You can't sell U.S. bonds without crashing your own economy. I just had somebody the other day try to tell me that Japan was going to sell all their bonds. And the thing is, the USD and the yen go hand in hand. So if the USD crashes, the yen also crashes.
I'm going to let Liberty up because I think he's saying a lot of the things that you're saying. Liberty,
Hey.
hi. You're saying China is a small debt holder.
Yeah,
I
now,
think
so what happened before, this was during Obama administration, there was a changeover. It turns out that the Federal Reserve banks, so I don't know if you understand, they're a consortium of banks, they hold the largest amount of U.S. debt, not China.
Right. No, that's correct.
Yeah.
But I
So
guess
you
what I'm
can't
trying
say,
to
so China's not a threat in that regard. They actually can't, it wouldn't be an attack. They just can't manage whatever they want to do to us via our debt.
well, and not to go away from
Bonds. You mentioned bonds, so T-bills, treasuries. It's not
Sure.
it's not a
So if
factor.
China is not a threat in that
It's not a
way,
factor. Right.
okay, then that's good to know. Then what is Trump expecting them to negotiate? Like, what are they expecting them to do?
We're trying to knock them down from an international trade partner. So by crippling, like I said, by crippling the factories, you cripple the government because the factories are all subsidized by the CCP. And that causes civil unrest, and that's the whole point.
Yeah, so he's right. So basically, it needs to be understood what he just said. So this is, I was just talking, the reason I even stopped on you is because I had just asked my nephew what would be the implication of a recession. Everybody gets all upset, but tell me what the real implication is. I was kind of testing him, and I'm not even sure I've thought it through so much. But in China, they have billions, they have a lot of people, and they're always sort of on this edge of unrest, and they do not want any sort of masses to fall into any real distress because they will rise up. This is something it's well known, it's well documented. They don't want that to happen. It is why they aren't such a huge threat to us, and it's a made up thing, I think, ultimately, because I'm just going to say our market's massive. We're not like we were back in the 20s, okay? We have and when I say a massive market, we're 330 million people now, and we have 40, it's what's the Dow up to? 40,000 points. It's when it was at 11,000 points, I was on a trading desk as just a 20-year-old, and I remember how flabbergasted everybody was at 11,000. It was
And now we're at 40.
and then it went to, oh my God, it went to 20, and then we're looking at 30. This is totally different times. I want you to know.
Wow.
We're not like in that same time frame.
Well, and honestly, I guess all I'm getting at with my comparison to Smoot Hawley and the Great Depression is more so that if we had the foresight that we have now, and we lived in the times of Smoot Hawley to be in a place where we could get prepared for the Great Depression, what would be some of the things that we could do? So now that we're seeing that a recession is imminent, no matter who started it, where it's coming from, how we got here, we're here, So I'm trying to figure out ways to.
A recession is not a Great Depression.
Hold on 1 second. Because I want to clearly ask you this question, because I want an answer from you, because you know your shit. So like, what can we do given that we are going to be in a recession? Should we start pulling out cash and start having like an emergency cash fund? I'm recommending that people start to get medications and a vacation stockpile, so that tell your doctor you need a month or two worth. What are some items that we should be getting now that might be too expensive to get later? What are your recommendations for how to navigate what we know is coming?
Let me tell you something really simple. We're not going to go into any sort of depression. We might be in a recession now.
Just humor me, because again, if we can prepare for a recession and it never comes, that's fantastic.
Well, you should always have.
But if it does come, what are your recommendations for navigating it?
What I'm saying is,
real quick, Sam. Sam, you've already established we are officially been in a recession.
If the federal government never changed the definition, yes.
Okay, so I agree with you, and I'd also agree that it's been way longer. I mean, it's been the entirety of Biden's 4 years because of the government intervention and putting money into the market. Without them, we potentially were in a depression. But the question is, I get why you're saying, what do you prepare for? But it's like, you've already been experiencing, I don't know how old you are, host, I'm 50 years old. You've already been experiencing sky high inflation. It's just that they adjust the numbers and they make it seem to you like, oh, it's not so high anymore. But that's not the fact. Since the 70s, we have been in massive inflationary times. So you already have been experiencing it and doing nothing, which is why I was going to ask you. And I asked my nephew, what do you mean? So why do you care about a recession?
And that's what I'm trying to tell you as well. We can't.
What do you think is happening to you? Because you've already lived under massive inflation just in your time period, in your adult like working life.
And the
So
federal government is not intentionally crashing the market with these terrorists, as I think you seem to think. If they were intentionally crashing the markets, that would mean a loss in 2026 and a loss in 2028, and the Republicans do not want that. So
Crash the market. I'm just going to tell you, you have 401ks that are all invested in this. I don't know where you all think money is. And when you think who are the shareholders, it's the 401ks. You have parents
yeah.
or grandparents with 401ks. Well, they are the shareholders. And there are a massive amount of international wealth funds. So these are sovereign wealth funds that are in the US market. Why? Because we're the largest and we are the most liquid. So Sweden is in it, Norway's in it, Denmark's in it, Germany. They if you go and you research them, you're seeing that years ago, they started during Obama's term, that they are started faltering. Europe, as long as Europe is in decline, which they are, we'll be fine. You see, it is actually a competitive marketplace. They are not doing well. So their money is here. As long as their money is here, how does our market crash? Like, why would they need to sell? The reason a market crashes is because somebody needs to liquidate. I just don't see it. And I don't see why you would be hurt by a recession anyway.
and if they liquidate, it in turn crashes their own economy because they flood the market with liquid.
Yeah, I just don't see why anybody, the holders of this stuff, if I'm right, and I haven't gotten a clear number on this, the 401ks, the pension funds, just in the US, are a massive amount of money. You go look at the amount of money that BlackRock manages. They're in the trillions. They are managing that money. It must be invested. Where can it go? That is why we're well off. Sadly, we screw the world over, but Americans will be okay.
And like I said, the stock market's not. It's not. The stock market does not tell you how the world is feeling. It's just it's not like an exact 100% science of what the economy is. The stock market is just how people feel about where their money might go up, it might go down, and if they think it's going to go down, they're going to pull out, which is going to make the stock market crash even more. So it's not. This is just all a game at the end of the day. The stock market doesn't tell you whether the economy is doing good or bad.
Yeah, it's no indicator. And we were in decline during Obama years, and people, it was at 1.2 GDP, and Obama laughed at it ever going up again to 3 or 4. So, this is my question to my nephew. Why is it that you think a recession is bad? What's it going to do to you? It didn't do anything to you during Obama's years. Right.
Well,
I don't think this is anything to, I think, I don't know. I think it's a much ado about nothing.
well, okay, well, honestly, I think you could help me then explain, what is a recession in the sense of, um, what would it have to look like in order for us to feel it? I guess I've seen, especially under the last Biden administration, how difficult things were, how, you would hear, oh, we have the economy that's the envy of the world, but, prices were still high. Oh, we have only 4% unemployment, but I still had so many people I knew who were having trouble finding work, or people having to have 2 and 3 jobs, So you're absolutely right. Things have been really tight. I think we've done as much belt tightening and stopped eating as much avocado toast as we possibly could over the last 4, years, 10 years, 16 years, all the way back to 2008 when we already had to pick up the pieces from that. I feel like, if things are going to get worse, if we're going to be in a named recession under, however they want to define it, if we actually get to that point, what would that look like?
Okay.
We're already seeing prices at the stores become higher. So as far as boots on the ground, real world effects, real world effects that people see and feel, what I guess, when would we know that we're in the shit? When would we
I've been
know
trying
that?
to tell you, we already are.
So
Right now.
given that we are, But what Liberty is saying is that we have been for some time, and so we haven't felt the need to take action in any sort of sense, or be prepared for a worsening of it all. And so I get that, but I guess I just want to know then, as far as when does it become like when I feel like we're we hear this all the time, the whole frog in the pot, the boiling pot analogy.
Boiled frogs. Americans
Yeah,
are boiled
so
frogs for sure. You're serfs,
right.
but
So when
I'm
do
really
we?
sorry, but the majority, 99% of you are in a serf mentality. Yeah.
But at what point can we say, okay, I'm feeling a little toasty, like
You already
and
are. I mean, the reality is, I don't know what Sam's gonna say. Here's my thing. I personally think we're in this situation where the government will outlast us. And so goodbye to you. I want you to know that I would doubt you're going to survive in this if the globalists succeed, then you won't survive, because the intent is you will own nothing and like it and be happy. That is the stated policy and goal of the globalist. So Trump
what is a
is not
globalist?
a globalist. Is for global governance. They want a one world currency, and they are very open about it. They have an Agenda 2030.
Yeah, Corporal.
It's completely implemented. So I don't know what to tell you. I'd say that, if you were doing fine all of these years, you might be eating some rice and beans, but that is a stated goal for you. So are you against that? If you are, then you better be full on for what Donald Trump is doing, because he has the only agenda going that's remotely close to ending that. Remotely. I don't know that I really think it's the greatest agenda for ending this globalism, but it's the only thing going. But considering what you have on your screen, you're not going to be backing Agenda 47. So I don't know what to tell you. I know maybe Sam has a better answer, but you should own property. At the very least, you should own property, and you should get all your money out of any big banks and put it in community banks.
I mean,
That's great.
that's pretty dead on. The only, like, you're asking what you could have done to prepare. The only thing you could have done to prepare was be invested 10 years ago, right? That's the only thing. I mean, as a normal person like you and me that work normal jobs, I mean, there's nothing you can do. I mean, the best you can do is have your $500 emergency fund, and that's it, right? You should have been invested a long time ago. That was before I was even, of the age to invest, right?
Yeah. So I never know what to say. Look, I'm not I'm for liberty and the republic. I am completely diametrically opposed to Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Barack Obama, and all of that. But I have to be realistic in the way that the country went. And the globalists are very smart and wily. So yeah, what can you say? The government's going to outlast you as they are now until you decide to topple them. Until the boiled frogs decide that individual liberty is better than being told, what your health insurance can be, we're stuck here. So how long can you last? If you go and you are frugal right now, and you have land, you have a better chance of surviving what's coming in the next 10 years. I don't think that Donald Trump is going to stop this.
Well, what do you think the next 10 years are going to look like? I love your recommendations already as far as community banks and getting land if you're able. I would also say, get the fuck out if you can. Like I'm very lucky. I escaped 3 years ago. So
no matter where you go, it's the same story. Like this is the agenda of the globalists. Like everywhere you look to the UK, you look to, Canada even just lost to a globalist, like a full on. He's fully into it.
Yeah, I was shocked. I wasn't
Democrat? Like
I wasn't shocked that I
never heard that until just this moment that people were concerned about globalism or globalists. Like, when did this become the new word of the day?
So this is, it's a very, it goes very deep, but on the surface level, right? This is why mass immigration has been pushed so hard, because the globalists work for the corporations. They work for the capitalists, right? The
Well,
big guys, right?
if that's the case,
So,
then honestly, like how are globalists conflated with Democrats when the current Republican administration is so chock full of billionaires and corporations and like
okay,
it
so I'll
that's
tell you.
surprising.
So the reason why the Democratic Party has been pushing and liberal people or liberal governments worldwide have been pushing so hard for immigration unchecked is because this is the simplest example I can give you, right? So, when you flood the job market with more people, right? That means you could pay lesser wages, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when you pay people lesser wages, that means it's harder to buy a home, right? So what these corporations do and these companies do is they back these Democratic Party with like the Democratic and liberal policy agendas for mass immigration so that they can pay their workers less and they can buy up all the homes and so they can rent all the homes to people for very expensive so people have no money, right? So at the end of the day, any liberal party that justifies mass immigration is working for these globalists because they're working for the capitalists because the capitalists wants you to have nothing, right? So it all makes sense because
Well, that's
when they
not
flood
so.
people
Just
into
real
the
quick,
job market, that means you can pay them less, which means they have
right.
less money to buy a home, which means less personal property. So you're renting from these people till you die,
Yeah,
and that's the simplest example I can give you.
right. They're against. You can capital. So fascists have always been happy about using capitalists. They're hand in hand. So it has nothing to do with being a cap. It just has to do with being in control. These are National Socialist Workers Party who they want national control in the US because we're the last bastion of individual liberty. You cannot have individuals. You have to have a collective because the collective will always be controlled by a small political controlled class, and that's the globalists. This is the goal. Now they need so whether they utilize they control capital, that's true. When governments control capital, when governments move markets, when governments print trillions to put into electric vehicles and electric vehicles are paid when other then you are living in a crony capitalist globalist oligarchy. And so the place to go there real quick. So Argentina is doing pretty well to get away from this. And
Argentina?
yeah, the BRICS might see it's just there was just this switch over. Of course these quote unquote corporations, those CEOs, it really is the CEOs. Because a corporation's it's not a living being. So the CEOs
Well,
that are on board.
America,
So real quick, that's
they're
important because the people behind you, the man that you're showing in the hat, he preyed on people calling, I have to create an it because the base human nature will go after an it. Okay? It's a psychological manipulation you have to be aware of. So he's right, Sam's right, but Argentina is more set in individual liberty again and not for the global governance. So that will provide a greater independence. And I think ultimately the BRICS, which is Brazil, Russia, and India, China, I think that they look at the globalist as an issue, like an evil empire. I don't think that I don't think they're dumb. I think they get the game and they don't want to be ruled. I'm hoping.
Well, you said that the globalist intention is to essentially amass power in a small cabal. I'm guessing that would then run things.
Not
But it
necessarily.
It's just a ruling class, and they're already there. They own all. They
Yeah,
get it. They have all. They are the financiers of the world. They have control of this.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that's kind of where we are right now. It's just a little
Because of people who, if you vote for, National Socialists, this is what you get. They're not for free markets. National Socialists are for controlled economies.
Interesting. Well, I need to do a lot of like reading. What are some reading recommendations you could share?
I just recommend breaking out from the mainstream news. I mean, they're never going to tell you this because, of course, they're all owned by these corporations themselves. So they're never going to want to tell you this. They're going to make sure everything you see is doom and gloom. And just by like breaking out of that bubble, you're going to see a lot more differing opinions that are really important to take into account. And that's how I started to see it. You know, I used to be like a hardcore conservative until I realized that, you know, they're the exact same way. So now that's why I'm all the way MAGA. So, and that's the reason why a lot of people are MAGA too, and not just the rednecks. Or it's a lot of like why you're seeing, you know, maybe like you know, John Kennedy style Democrats turn to the right as well, is because they, you know, they
That's
see.
not right wing. I'm sorry. That's center left.
Yeah, but I
Robert
mean,
Kennedy Jr. is full on center left Democratic Socialist. He is not at all right wing.
I'm talking
Liberty
about
is
like
right wing. I mean, MAGA. I don't even think is for the states. And I just be honest. Like, I have a problem with MAGA.
I mean, I do too in certain ways, but I'm talking about like the guy who got his head removed. That JFK.
Oh,
God.
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, you're seeing a lot of. I mean, he was a Democrat, but you're seeing a lot of these like, you know, old school Democrats turn right nowadays, and it's because, you know, John F. Kennedy was like, he was a free market Democrat, and so that's why I think Trump's, you know, economic policy, I think, resonates with a lot of those people as well, and that's why at the end of the day, I think that's how he won the election, is through these like old school Democrats.
Yeah, but you don't see this. Yeah, so I've been a long time member of the Republican Party, active, right? But I'm for liberty and independence, which is anathema to a ton of Republicans. Like, to be in the I can't be a Democrat because Democrats are National Socialists full up. I mean, my friends in New York City are full on National Socialist Workers Party types, like absolutely for that agenda. They're called progressive. So yeah, I hear what Sam's saying. I mean, I think that Americans are just, they don't care to be educated on what the United States of America means. And that is core to ending globalism. That's core, is the states is decentralized power. But people just sort of, I was in the news. They look up to Washington, D.C., and we put Congress people in front of the camera because, you know, we can't get in touch with the state rep, or state reps don't speak well. I mean, it's a racket, and it's easy, and news is easy. Yeah, I wouldn't. You asked for a book. Gosh. I'll tell you one book.
While you're thinking, I will say that I am like I've tried to branch out. So I'm on, you know, Rumble and Gab and True Social and Locals and Kick and all the more alt-right or right leaning platforms, and have been for quite some time. And I will say that I haven't gotten this clear-headed of a explanation of anything. Even looking at Charlie Kirk and Ben, what's his face, and
Shapiro.
Jesse, and just all of those things that I'm trying to, you know, get myself out of any kind of bubble that I might have been in, you know.
So here's what I would read. Yeah, I will tell you. So I will tell you to go to the 10th Amendment Center and just binge their content on there. So that is the United States of America, the Confederation of States. The more you read that kind of content, the more you'll understand, or maybe even fight yourself, because I was aggravated myself reading it, is that we are states and not a nation. So that would help. And that's smaller content, short form, but longer form, I would read anything from Thomas Sowell. And he's a great read. It's an easy read. His writing is really easy. And you may even do America the Beautiful by Dr. Ben Carson. That was a very easy read also. So it gives you a broader sense of the flow between, individual liberty, American patriotism versus this nationalistic view of the nation state. I mean, I think that'll do it. I think
Okay.
the 10th Amendment Center is very intense. I have to like read an article like 3 times because I'm like, I don't think I get it. Anyway.
Well, no, and I guess for me, when it comes to even like all of this, I am really more so looking at the fact that on the day to day, um, you know, walking in our real lives, like you and I, if we met on the street and we had a conversation and maybe we disagreed, like we wouldn't punch each other in the face because we disagree. I feel like we'd have the same kind of banter or rapport that we do here. Like real people, no matter how differently they think or believe or whatever, when it comes to face interactions or how we actually speak to each other as human beings, I don't think there's the animosity that we're, taught to believe exists between MAGA and leftists or whatever the case is. So thank you for bringing that energy.
I mean, I just think maybe you're a lovely person. That's not my experience at all. I've been on campaign trails. I decided that I could not work on another campaign for a while after one in Illinois. It was 2012. I was spit on by Democrats. I don't know how they knew I was working on a Republican campaign. They would run up to me. They screamed in my face. We had our cars keyed. And this was a state race. So I would have to disagree. I have neighbors who I thought we weren't going to be friends anymore because the husband seemed like he was going to maybe lash out at me. I thought that everything was going to come to blows. So I appreciate what you said, but it's not my experience. Only when you see you're identified as what I'm doing. It's because I was active in the Republican Party. Oftentimes Democrats around here become very vicious. I'm in Florida. But that said, we're still friends with those neighbors, and the husband apologized. That was very nice of him. And he said, I apologize. I'm a better person than that, and I am going to go and open my mind, my brain.
That's sweet. I'm gonna bring Tasha, but I want to say as well. I guess for me though, like even with all of this talk about tariffs and globalists and socialists and all, like I still look at the fact that in the same way that I would interact with you in person as I am now, I definitely wouldn't spit on you, and I certainly wouldn't, do anything like that or yell at you. But when it comes to just how I live, when I'm sick and I need to go to the doctor, or if I want to have a baby and I need to go do these things, I think it's the fact that normally, under a president or a new administration, you don't really feel it in your real life. Like you might in the long term, like under Reagan, how, things, especially for Black people, got so much worse, but it wasn't like a discernible thing, where you felt the impacts of what the president was doing, until this presidency, where we actually see, women who are being affected by AB laws, where you see, trans and gay people who are being affected, the economy is being, for whatever reason it started, there are impacts to the economy now under the Donald Trump administration, so like, I feel like there's more things touching my actual real life due to this administration than I've ever seen from an impact, of any other president before. And so,
I mean, it's just really.
Oh yeah, and honestly,
again, the GDP was 1.2%. I don't know how old you are. 1.2% GDP under Obama. I had to close my company because of that man. I mean, like it was a direct effect because of his policies with Obamacare, which was not affordable at all. I mean, we're still suffering from that stupid bill. I mean, I actually can't believe you're even really saying that. The years with Biden, I mean, inflation was really out of control, and it's because of government intervention, and that's all Biden and Obama were about. More and more government. Government's our issue. They suck money out of of our businesses, and they hand it to their buddies. I mean, they overspend so insanely. Are you not listening to any that Doge is doing? I mean, you might hate Elon Musk, but at least, the very least, be understanding how disgusting the people are in Washington, D.C., and that includes Republicans. I mean, don't even get me started. I can't name 5 that I even don't think are total scum. So the
That's
Wait,
Democrats
is
are
anybody
not going
allowed
to
to jump
cut
into
any of
this?
that. The Democrats
Okay,
aren't
well,
going to cut any of that. So come on. I don't even know why you even. No.
yeah,
I just gotta say,
genuinely, as a
So outrageous. Like, maybe Donald Trump's agenda could possibly get through Congress, but they're just atrocious people.
hey
well,
Sophie,
we definitely agree there. Real quick,
I just gotta say,
Sam, take a few seconds and respond.
I just gotta
I want
go,
to
but I
bring
just
up
want to say,
Natasha as well. Go ahead.
I gotta go, but I just want to say thank you for keeping an open mind, and I really hope you look into that because, I mean, once you see it, it's definitely a rabbit hole, but once you see it, I mean, I think you're going to change your mind about a lot of things. So,
No, thanks for coming and keeping me company. I really appreciate that.
all right, see y'all later.
Bye, Sam. Hey, Tasha, go ahead and say hello and introduce yourself and share anything that's top of mind or coming up percolate for you.
Sure. Did you invite me to this or did I accidentally join it?
I
Because
think
I
it
was
just I
watching.
think because we're friends, it probably came up for you. I don't know if I came up
Okay.
on your FYP or
I mean, I
anything,
was
but
watching it, but then I got an invite to join. I was like, wait a minute, did I accidentally click something?
really,
So I don't know if I'm
no,
supposed to
I
be here
saw
or not,
you
but
come up as a guest request. That's why I pulled you up.
okay,
Are you
cool.
comfortable talking? I didn't mean to just pull you up.
Yeah, no. I mean, I was like, all right, shoot. Yeah, like I'd love to join.
Okay,
I
no,
haven't
no,
talked to you in
hey.
forever anyway,
I
so
know, girl. Oh my God. Hi.
this is so cool.
Yeah, it is.
Um, yeah, but I mean, I just wanted to chime in and say like you, Sophie, have the same feelings. I was just thinking this to myself yesterday. I've never been affected by the policies and things happening in this than ever than I have with this administration, this regime right now.
So how have you been affected? Give us specifics.
Well, I mean, for example, there are 8 students at my university who have had their student visas revoked
That's
for
not
absolute.
you directly. How have you directly been affected? Come on.
Well, that affects me
Yeah,
because
that's
I'm an
interesting
empath,
too.
Affect
and
you
those are
directly.
my.
You directly. How have you been affected? I gave you my example. I had to shut my business down because I couldn't pay I could not afford to cover all of those employees with healthcare. So I was just like, that's fine. We don't have to have this company
Okay.
anymore.
Well, I mean, I guess one way I could say I'm directly affected is that I am struggling to find work right now, despite the fact that I am overly qualified in pretty much anything that you asked me to do. So that's one way I'm directly affected.
How
And
did
because
Trump
I
treat
was working,
you in 4 months?
well, I'm saying I think it's going to be much harder since he has let go so many government officials and employees and civil servants. I think that it's obviously the unemployment rate is going to increase based on these false claims of waste and fraud and
So
abuse that
those
he still has
employees are
yet
going to
to.
take you're saying that because there are more people for these jobs that you
Mhm.
might want, then you won't be employed.
I'm saying it makes it more challenging because that directly fills up the job market. So
So all
I'm
of
not
the
upset with these people. I am upset that the president is
so
implementing
all
these
the
policies
migrants
and
during
firing
Obama
people.
years, all of the new people coming in, that didn't affect you?
How did that affect me?
Yes, yeah,
They're
that
more
Well, I mean,
employees.
I could say one way that
Millions,
affected me
actually,
is that
millions
my
were let
father
in.
is
So
actually an immigrant and he's actually naturalized citizen. So that's one way that it affected me is that I wouldn't be here if it weren't for him.
well, whatever.
One
That's
way
not
it
what Trump.
probably
That
affected
Trump
you is
wasn't
that,
president then.
this wasn't probably, I'm assuming you're not indigenous.
Trump didn't. I am actually
Oh,
part of. So
what percentage?
16th So this is the thing.
116.
You just mentioned something that did not happen during a Trump administration. Listen, let's just be honest, people, and not play those games. I mean, I said that Republicans are atrocious in Congress. I'm not sitting here. You don't even need to play sides. But I think this is one of my issues in the United States, just for Americans in general. We're looking at very dishonest people. I don't know what would wake somebody up to stop doing that. But I will be very honest. I mean, I think the Republican Party is a bunch of shysters in DC. I think they're crooks just as much as Democrats, just as much as the independents, just as much as just the lobbyists. They're just a bunch of shysters. So for you, like, I just think we need to be honest. And then if I'm not directly affected, which is why I started with the host, I don't know which side she's on or her political leanings or whatever other than what's behind her. But I just am really realistic. The globalist agenda is way stronger. It's very powerful, and they aren't going to stop. And if that's what she wants, then she's not going to make it. And that has to be known. And she asked the right questions. What will I need to do to make it? It's the right question, because she won't. And most people if you are currently middle class and not upper middle class, you're not making it through Agenda 2030. I'm really sorry. And that's the reality. And they've stated it. You will own nothing and you'll like it.
Well, you asked about the real world
Republicans
impact.
aren't going to stop that.
Like, I'm seeing some comments that are so strange. Somebody said, this is how you gaslight. I don't know what that means. Honestly, Liberty, like, for me, like you asked about a direct impact. One of the things that I am directly dealing with is that I had my first biological baby with IVF. And I intended to go back and try for a little boy with IVF, and my clinic is now not operating because the state that it's in is being impacted by abortion laws that are putting North Carolina. So it's giving like there's issues of personhood with embryos. So that's making my clinic change tactics. So I literally cannot go and get IVF right now.
That isn't the nation. So again, this is the United States of America.
Sure,
if you're
but that's
against that, then
directly-
if you're against the states, then you're not American. Just to be that is the actual definition of being American. Just real quick.
Wait, I'm sorry, against what?
The definition of being American is that you are for the United States of America, that you agree to the U.S. Constitution. That's the definition of being an American citizen. It's fine if you're not. If you're a National Socialist, you're a National Socialist.
Well, I'm just telling you, like,
that's your
like
state.
without Donald Trump.
It has nothing to do with Donald Trump. That's your state.
Well, the reason it's back with
He's
the state
giving
is
power
because
to the
back
state.
to it was always
Okay,
with
let's
them.
find the direct connection.
It was always with them. That isn't a direct connection. You're fucking lying. Don't lie. You were a nice person. Be a nice person. That's a lie. You are lying. It's not a direct connection. Donald Trump didn't say to North Carolina. Did not say to North Carolina to ban IVF.
And keep talking.
Donald Trump is not about banning abortion. Donald Trump is not about.
He is about
He literally put the Supreme Justices.
He literally fucking said that he would want it to be about 15 to 20 weeks. He literally said it. So, look, you were being all nice, but it's you lie to hurt him.
Finish my thought.
You made stuff up.
It's aggressive.
I don't have to
giving
intervene.
aggression.
I'm literally just trying to
aggression. I don't get. She's a stranger. I already told her.
I
She's
know,
not making
so I
it,
don't
and
understand why you're
fuck if
being
you make it.
aggressive. I just
I
just got here.
I don't give a fuck.
Wow.
You're calling Donald Trump a Nazi behind her. Do you think that's not aggressive? Are we going to sit here and pretend like she's not aggressive?
This is actually what I'm going
Calm
to school
down.
for right now.
Listen,
how
I was giving you a lot of. I was being nice to you, but look
not
what's
aligning
behind you.
Hear anybody?
Are we here to pretend like you're not an aggressive cunt? We're trying to pretend like you're not an aggressive fucking bitch who has a Nazi behind you, and you're associating Donald Trump with the Nazis. Oh, hey.
So angry.
Oh,
my gosh.
So angry. You're calling people Nazis, you little fucking bitch. And you think that you're nice? You are a liar. You're a fucking little liar and fucking cunt who has a Nazi behind you, and I'm supposed to pretend like you're a
The
bitch.
only reason
You're not a
I'm
bitch.
going to have
Look,
to.
You wouldn't be invited.
The only reason I gotta mute you.
Wouldn't
and
be
you can
invited
un-
over.
The only reason I'm going to mute you is because I don't want to get kicked because of the
Little bitch.
If you can
Little
calm
Nazis.
down, I'd love to understand
Don't give a fuck about
why you're suddenly.
fuck what happened.
All right, I gotta
Lie about Republicans.
I don't want to drop her. I thought she had amazing insight on.
Yeah, she kind of just went 0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah, what happened there?
It's like, wait a minute, did I miss something? I don't know.
I'm literally trying to explain like how I can no longer get IVF because Donald Trump stacked the Supreme Court so that we no longer have Roe versus Wade. So it has gone back to the states. Liberty, that's nice, man. So yeah, look, you're welcome back up. I don't want to get kicked because of your language, babe. Yeah. So
You guys hear me?
yeah, that's wild. Sam, I'm sorry. Hi, honey.
Hi. I just want to say, regardless of her language, she is absolutely right. So, you're concerned about consolidation of power in the government, right?
No. I am concerned with real world people having fears and how we can preemptively get ready for things that may or may not happen. But if there's a worst case scenario, if we can be prepared for it, how is that a bad thing? That's really all I'm trying to do here. So,
but like I was just referencing earlier, like you're concerned about whoever, be it the federal government or Donald Trump, consolidating power into his own personal power, right?
Say that one more time.
Sorry, I'm on data. Let me see if I can get back on Wi-Fi.
Yes, I see your bars. It's showing me your bars. That's wild.
Here, give me 5 minutes. I'll be right back.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, Liberty. Like the reason that I can say Schnazzi's is because he's literally following the path that H-Man did. I mean, as far as everything from attacking media, everything from getting actual competent people, out of his offices, and then hiring yes men or lifting up yes men and sycophants and criminals.
Yeah. I mean, this is something I've been researching myself heavily the past few days, so I see the patterns very clearly. And my professor, who also has his doctorate, and he's a professor an expert in Russian and Ukrainian studies, and things like that, in diplomacy. So, and he's agreeing with everything that's happening. He's not denying it. We have my teacher's assistants who are here on student visas who are at risk of having them be revoked for absolutely no reason. And the information that the students there have been given is just basically pack up and go home. Like, just go home. Nothing, no information as to why, just go home.
That's crazy.
So it's crazy. There's so many similarities, and we laugh at him and we joke about him. But if you put yourself back in 1930 and see the interviews that were done, they thought the same thing of him. He wasn't smart. He was a buffoon. He didn't know what he was talking about. He, would trip, and he was laughed at, and nobody thought that he would get to where he was. And then he got there, and they're like, oh shit, by then it was too late. And by the time he was in office in January of 1933, from May to 1933, he had already imprisoned 27,000 people, just people that were opposing him, political opponents, people that were saying things that he didn't like.
Right.
The same exact thing.
Familiar, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's no difference at all. And I'm tired of people saying, don't compare him to Hitler. He has to be, because Hitler's the worst one. And Donald Trump is literally at the helm of that. It's not hyperbolic. It's factual, unless you're not seeing all of the news that's going on. But I mean, that's another issue in itself. So
Liberty said we're national socialists. Like, what?
I
feel like I've heard globalists, BRICS, National Socialists.
I mean,
Always,
the way
like,
she was expressing, at least her beliefs, sounded kind of more like a Marxist type of view.
well, I think she does. She does not want the Marxist view. She doesn't want for the worker to essentially have. Uh, let's see. I'm gonna make sure her comments are being seen. Um, there's Sam again. All those does is lie about Trump. Again, I don't see how it's a lie to say that he put people in the Supreme Court
I
who
mean,
overturned Roe versus Wade when that's literally what he did. And that's how I'm personally being affected, which is what she asked.
she keeps
So
saying
that's
you're lying, but I wish she would explain.
yeah. Hi Sam. Yeah, I don't see the bars anymore. What were you
Okay.
saying, baby?
So regardless of her language and how she conducts herself, she's absolutely right. Okay, so Donald Trump is not. I mean, Donald Trump might have been the catalyst to Roe v. Wade, but that is not the issue here. You should be taking this up with your state, right? By bringing power back down to the states, that allows you a bigger voice, right? Because, I mean, it's just basic math. When you look at like local elections and state elections, your vote matters way more than in a federal election, right? So, in my personal belief, the state should do nothing, right? So, I mean, sorry, the state should have everything, and the federal government, I should correct myself, the federal government should do nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's my personal view, right? So, I think ending Roe v. Wade is great, and I wish all laws can like that would be gone. I don't care what it is. I want it left up to the states for everything. And in my personal opinion, if you don't like the way your state's being run, you either vote out the people that are running your state or you move to a better state.
Well, and I guess Leonizing says electoralism is a way to do nothing while saying you did something. Oh, interesting. You know, I want to see if I can bring them back up. That's a very interesting point. What I want to say to that though, Sam, is like for me, just again, you're asking how it's impacting me. For me, it's kind of like okay, like the majority has never really been in my favor. You know, like it's never really been in my favor as a Black person, as a woman, as a queer person, as whatever. And it's odd to me that we're even talking about Roe v. Wade or the states weighing in on something that's a medical decision that impacts the person doing it and no one else. And no one else. And so you know, I'm like we're talking you asked me what I was or what I believe or whatever. I genuinely I'm not a Democrat. I can't even say I'm really leftist anymore. I'm because I'm with you guys. I believe in small government. I do not want the government to be able to reach into my medical office or into my relationship, you know, or into my kids' lives in any sort of way. So
Let's
so
pause
I
there for a second.
regard. So, sorry, what were you saying?
So the issue I have with this is you're comparing Trump to the H man, right? Who famously, you know, consolidated power into the very, very top of the government, right? So that means in charge of everything. By ending Roe v. Wade, we're actually distributing power back down to the states, which in turn allows you to have a bigger voice.
But it's a power that nobody should be voting on in the first place, you know? Like who? Why should anybody who is not my doctor be able to tell me what I can and cannot do with my body?
Just
That's
because you live in a specific state that decided to vote that way, that's not fair.
People have different
yeah,
morals.
but that's what I'm saying. That's
Yeah,
kind
but
of the
that's
benefit
fine. They don't
that
have
I
to have
see.
abortions either.
But that's the benefit that I see with the country going to hell is that maybe, you know, if we can use this as an opportunity to revisit how we formulate our constitution moving forward or our legal system or our voting system moving forward, maybe it'll be one that doesn't look at things that only affect an individual, you know, and have a majority rule on other people's lives when it doesn't impact them in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, but
So
this is exactly what I'm talking about, though. You're talking about majority rule, right? The federal government is the ultimate majority rule. And if people aren't happy with that, they should have the opportunity to change it. And that's why getting rid of That's why getting rid of Roe v. Wade is a good thing, because people should have the power to voice their opinions, right? And like I said, it doesn't matter
But
what law we're talking about. It could
but it
be
shouldn't
about
be on my body,
no,
or on a trans person. What does that have to do with anybody, or gay marriage, or literally,
okay,
that's
regardless of
all.
how you feel about that, people should be able to voice their opinions and have their opinions materialize into law. That's what makes America so
Um,
But
great,
I have a
right?
question for you,
But
well,
not
Sam.
when
that's
it
the thing,
comes to
right?
the human body.
No,
That's just
okay, but
different.
okay, regardless of what you think, politics and morals go hand in hand, okay?
They do, but
Hmm.
that doesn't mean you can force your morals on
Okay, so
somebody.
then
I'm sorry.
vote out the people that are enforcing these laws. I don't give
So
a
I
No,
have
Yeah,
a
but I mean,
question,
there just
Sam.
should be no
that's what
laws
I'm
on a
saying is like
body.
it should.
It,
Like Sam, I agree with you, and I understand your logic in that the more weight my vote can carry, the better. I understand that. I guess I don't know if you're getting what I'm saying. It's just that I wish I know we don't live and probably won't ever live in a society like this, but I wish that we lived in society, and perhaps there's a glimmer of hope that given that America is done, maybe what reemerges is a society where we don't vote on somebody's existence or their medical situation, or
We don't have to
things
discard the
that have
people around
nothing to
us.
do with them.
We definitely
okay.
do not have to discard the people around us.
So
Right,
by
right. And let me pause you 1 second, because Leonizing has been
okay, yeah, go
up here
ahead.
for a second. Can you introduce yourself and lift up anything that was percolating to the top for you?
Yeah, I do want to just state that, like, as it says in my bio, I am no one because that's just who I am. That's how I view myself in a political lens.
Mhm.
Because I have a lot of privileges. I'm a settler on occupied Dakota land, and I am of the age of 25. Um, I do live here in the Imperial Core, but I definitely am in very strong support of this acknowledgement that we are discarding people left and right, causing mass amounts of violence, and we have to take accountability for that. The reason why I did want to ask is, Sam, right now we are currently living in a situation for the past 5 years where there's been mass levels of discardment from the person to person basis during the ongoing C-19. If we really have a politic of caring about people, we should be able to ask ourselves, are we doing everything we can to protect the people around us by wearing a mask? And I just wanted to ask you that.
No, I personally don't subscribe to I my opinion is you should be responsible for your own health, and I do not need to be responsible for you, okay? I'm a very firm believer that you need to be responsible for yourself. So if you think the correct decision for you is wearing a mask, I'm not going to take that away from you. But me personally, I don't think I should be forced to wear a mask just for your comfort.
Okay, well, that is a palm colored supremacist belief that you don't
No, but
have to be in
your
community
idea
with
is a
people.
fascist belief, though. I
What?
should conform to your idea of
I'm
safety.
asking you to respect me as a human being. That's not fascism.
No, but you're asking me to conform to your idea, which is inherently a fascist idea.
It's not my idea. It's what we as a collective have decided, that we care about people and we're doing the things we need to do to respect each other as human beings. It's called the social order. Do you want to be a part of the social order? Do you want to be a part of the individual? You can't have both, especially in terms of public health.
Right. So because I live in America, I believe in the individual and not the collective.
Okay, Sam. Well,
Um,
I'm actually really grateful that you said that, but I do want to just state that the reason why America exists today is because of that mindset that we can allow
you cut
viral
out.
infections to
You
spread.
cut out. Say that again.
Oh, I was saying, like, the history of America and how it got set up is on the discarding, and specifically the unaliving at a mass scale of indigenous people. That is why America was allowed to
yes.
succeed.
Yes.
That is the only reason. Colonizers didn't conquer America. They coughed their way to the top.
I strongly disagree with it. The reason
I
why
wanna-
America's here today is because some brave men decided that they were going to break away from imperial rule. That's why America's here today, actually.
Oh no,
Oh,
sir.
no. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm misinformed.
They
Yeah.
wanted to maintain slavery. That's it.
Well, yeah,
That's
because
what
that was
happened.
socially acceptable back then. Obviously, it's not now.
Well, that's the thing. It was becoming less socially acceptable in England, and they didn't want to follow England's footsteps in starting to abolish it. That's why that's where the Declaration of Independence even came from. They threw in, they didn't want the king's rule, that he was, imposing taxes unfairly, that what was the other thing? Religious freedoms and all that. But baked in was also that they wanted to maintain the institution of slavery. And they were concerned that because there was a court case in England that ended the transatlantic slave trade, or their ability to get slaves from Africa. It wasn't full emancipation, but they stopped the importation of slaves. America got really scared that they were going to stop them from being able to import slaves, and so that's what spurned the entire American Revolution. So
So regardless
let's
of
not
whether
get
or not,
twisted.
regardless of whether or not that's like a major, I mean, irregardless, that was socially acceptable back then. So I mean, you're trying to use modern day morals for something that happened a long time ago, and I just don't
Have
think.
you ever heard of Benjamin Lay?
Have I ever heard of who?
Benjamin Lay.
No.
No.
He was a is it Amish? No, Quaker. He was a Quaker. He was a man with dwarfism at the time in the 1700s, and he violently opposed slavery in the era because he recognized it at that time that it was an unconscionable stain on humanity. People at that time recognized that slavery was unjust.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I don't understand why you have that argument.
I mean, because it lasted a very long time, even after the Declaration of Independence was signed. I mean, come on, guys. I don't know. You want me? I want to. That's its history.
We don't have to go back and discuss the merits of slavery. I will say though, Sam, just to let you know why it is an important conversation, and maybe that's something to check out my YT History Month series when you get some time. We go through exactly how slavery still impacts us today, whether it be the Willie Lynch papers and how that talks about how to do buck breaking and separate families, and how that still has impacts on the Black family today, all the way to the fact that the modern day police system started because groups were formed to be slave catchers, basically. And so they actually had little badges that said slave catchers for plantation, blah, blah, blah. And that's what started modern policing.
I mean, come
So
on.
everything
law
that
enforcement's been around forever. You can't really.
Say that one more time.
Law enforcement's been around since the beginning of time.
But what law were they enforcing at first
you can't say
in America?
You can't say that the police was formed because they were slave catchers. Law
But
enforcement's
it was.
always been around.
That's just the history. I'm not making it up. You can look
I
it
mean,
up.
that's factually true. Like,
I mean,
Yeah.
regardless of whether
I'm not pulling it out of my ass.
no, regardless of whether or not that's true, law enforcement's been around since imperial times. So to make that claim as to be the start of the police force, I just think that's disingenuous.
we're talking about it in
No,
America.
I'm saying how the policing practices of today were informed by how policing started in America. So, a lot of the disparities between Black and white people and the way that we view even crime statistics today had its roots in the fact that policing in America was founded on the premise that they were to monitor, observe, catch, and bring back white people's property, which was Black folks. And so that's literally a connection. All I'm doing is trying to tell you, like, the fact that slavery existed and it ended doesn't mean that its ramifications are not felt today. And that's just one of the very many ways that it's felt today. And we could go into like healthcare and the postal system and entertainment and fucking literally politics, everything, housing, educate, literally everything in America.
Yeah, it's the same
is
as every.
impacted by slavery and or white supremacy. So
Yeah.
that's all I'm saying.
Every large scale event. I mean, the indigenous, having this land stolen to begin with, and now here we are arguing over a dictator who's taken it over after all of the blood, sweat, and tears and, stealing and thievery that, people here have had to.
He's doing. Nobody can do it yet. I'm still waiting on the definition.
Nobody can do.
Nobody can explain to me how Trump's been a dictator. Nobody can do it.
Yeah, because he's violating the laws of the Constitution right now and refusing to abide by federal and Supreme Court orders. So
let's even go back to the fact that he said, "I'm going to be a dictator on day one."
Right.
Okay, so regardless of what
literally,
you can't keep saying regardless of everything.
Okay,
eventually you have to.
It's factual.
Remember how Liberty said that he said that he wasn't going to touch abortion, and so
he still has.
So if we're going to go by what he says, then let's go by what he says. He said he's going to be a dictator on day one, and how has he proved that differently?
Okay, so can somebody give me one specific example of him violating the Constitution?
Yeah, he didn't turn the planes around when a judge told him to do so. The Supreme Court told him that they need to facilitate the return of this man. They have done nothing.
He followed in the footsteps of Andrew Jackson.
You and I already talked about how he's circumventing Congress when he doesn't have to enact tariffs, to enact deportation laws, and different things.
Facilitate.
No, that's not facilitating when you're doing it, though, and you don't have the agreement of others.
But how is doing nothing facilitating?
Okay, so as far as the Supreme Court is concerned, Donald Trump could have gone, hey, can we have him back? And then El Salvador goes, nope, and then that's facilitating to them.
But he didn't even do that, is what we're saying.
How do you know that? Do you know that for sure?
Yes, we do.
Well, we've already had people out there.
Hold on. His lawyers send a declaration that says, here is the information that I have to my knowledge, and to my knowledge, nothing has been done. And that's the reply that they give back to Boasberg and to Zacharias or whoever. That's the reply that they've consistently given back. Plus, Pam Bondi, the attorney general, gets up and says, we're not going to do anything. He's going to stay in El Salvador. So literally,
because he's in El Salvador,
everybody's defying the Supreme Court. That is constitutional crisis 101.
Can you have dual citizenship, Sam?
We can't kidnap an El Salvadorian citizen back to the United States. You guys know that, right?
Can you have dual citizenship?
You have dual citizenship, yes, but as far as I'm aware, he did not have.
Look, here's the thing. Here's my whole thing. We can get into the minutia all day about it. What is happening though is that fundamentally, he took people who were in America legally, illegally, under a protection order, whatever, under a non-deportation clause, whatever. They were residing physically in America, which is enough according to the Constitution. You are still owed due process if you are physically in America. And they denied these people due process and did what's called rendition and sent them to El Salvador specifically because they don't mind them doing cruel and unusual punishment there. We can't do that here. And so that was a big part. I'm going to bring up Shock because he's been waiting for a bit. Sorry. But Leonizing, I wanted to say something in regards to masking. A lot of people don't know this, but COVID wasn't the first time that masking was a thing. Back in 1918, there was a massive influenza breakout. And Woodrow Wilson, who was a Democratic president at the time, but of course he had more Republican values. The parties were a bit switched back in the day. But Woodrow Wilson enacted a mask mandate. And in fact, if you didn't wear a mask, you were called a mask slacker. And like, so he, so this is not a new thing. It's not something that was first brought about in under COVID. So, if we want to look at history as a tell, then the government has absolutely in the past done things to try to protect the greater good. So I'm with you, Leonizing, that's something that we absolutely should have. Yeah. Yes. And Wilson was not the best dude, and so yeah. So if we want to look to him as an example, then sure. Mask mandates weren't. First of all, they weren't a bad thing. How are they hurting anybody? And honestly, that's like a bit of my whole reasoning for doing this, for making standwithsophie.com, is I'm just looking at like worst case scenarios. Like if things go to hell, if the country crumbles, if we absolutely end up going further down this road. We're already on this road, but if we go further down this road, what next? What do we do? How do we prepare now? How can we be safe? How can we build community? How can we have secure communications channels? How can we prepare if things go bad? And if nothing happens, if suddenly tomorrow China folds and Canada becomes our 51st state and we get Greenland and we take over the world and we're amazing and everything's good, we get all the immigrants out and everything's great. If that happens tomorrow and everything's wonderful, fantastic. We'll have a go bag that we never had to use. We'll have a water filtration system set up that we never had to use. But maybe we can go camping and enjoy it then, But what's the problem? What's wrong with preparing for the worst? Because if it does happen, if things do go haywire, wouldn't it be prudent to have plans in place? Like what's so wrong with that, Sam?
Well, you keep saying that we're already on this path. We're already on this path. We're already on this path. If you haven't prepared already, you're too late. Okay, But
okay. So the best time to do it would have been 5 years ago. The second best time is now. So what's wrong with getting ready now?
Okay, so I will tell you this: the United States will not fall. Okay, every other country.
In what way? But what do you mean?
But if it does, what
economically or
every other country will fall before us, and that's just a fact. We have done.
What do you mean? What does that mean, though? Economically, and like fall in what sense?
I don't care what it means. Just
no, I don't understand though.
Okay. America can't fail economically. It's pretty much impossible. Can. In what way? Tell me.
I mean, we are in a world that is increasingly becoming unlivable. Like, if we do really hit 5 degrees Celsius from our normal range that we've existed in as humans, the society that we have and the access to resources that we've had the privilege to access are no longer going to be here. Our economies are set up on the basis of living in this very small comfort that the world has been in for the past couple of thousand years. With our involvement and with reaching that threshold, that world is going to be a different world that we're existing in.
Okay, but I asked for economy, and you're trying to use climate to justify economy. I'm asking for how would America economically fail?
I will say we won't have an economy.
I don't think that's the pertinent question. I think it's if it does, what do we do? How do we prepare for it? If it doesn't, I hope you're right. Yeah. I think you probably are right. In fact, before Liberty went fucking nuts, she had some really good points on how the stock market and the bond market and all the different protections and 401ks and all that, mean that money is in place. It has to go somewhere. Foreign governments are investing still. And I love what she was saying in that regard. So again, I think you're right. I think you're right. You're right. Let's say you're right. Okay. Everything is fine.
I hope you're right.
But on the off chance, on the off chance that things become a little difficult financially, economically, politically, health wise, whatever. This whole show is just to say that if we were the Germans who were in the 1930s, before anything happened to any J person ever, if we were in the frogs in that pot before it got tepid, before it got warm, what would we have told them to do then? What should we be doing now to prepare?
There's no
That's
reason
all.
to like doomsday though. I'm
It's
telling
not
you.
doomsday. I
It's
think we
just
should take the advice of
preparation.
Holocaust survivors that are still alive today.
Thank you. Like, it can obviously, it can happen. We're acting like it
I
can't
mean,
happen.
yeah, and I mean, again, I point out these things because it's not, to me, we're past the point of this is a Democratic Republican political thing.
Issue.
I just care about people, and I just want us to really wake up and realize that, yeah, it sounds crazy. We would not think that this would have happened, but also this is exactly what the German Jays thought too. They didn't think it would get to this point. The shop owners would, turn them away, and thought that if they just remained silent and did what they were told, things would get better, and it didn't. They got bulldozed and people started getting imprisoned, and then things just got really crazy really quick. And I don't think we should be dismissing that. We have to use history. This is factual evidence of things that have happened, and we have the gift of that to be able to learn from,
Thank you.
and these patterns, like, realize them and see what's happening as a collective, because it's, again, it's not a political thing. I just want everybody to be better. The better we have, the more we have, the more we are able to help each other, the better we all do. We see that in other countries and societies and cultures. And, I just think we need to kind of get out of our heads and realize, we're going to have to do some hard work and go through some struggles that, people aren't used to going through.
More
Exactly.
more
I want to say
Germans.
real quick, thanks for tapping, everybody. Thanks for liking, following, sharing. This is such an important conversation. I'm really saddened that somebody who offered a really wonderfully unique perspective didn't want to stay on with us, but I appreciate Sam for hanging in there and offering, his thoughts and stuff. Shock. Thank you for your patience. You've been holding. Please introduce yourself, and then definitely weigh in with anything that's percolating to the top for you.
I'm 38. I'm from Connecticut, and I want to touch a topic on. Someone said the Jays suffered more. Germans suffered than the Jays. So I'm sorry. Everyone was persecuted in World War II,
Mm-hmm.
and there was no such thing as white supremacy in World War II, and then there's no such thing as white supremacy now. Like, it was made up then, it was made up today. Like,
Oh, interesting.
In what way?
when you falsely accuse the Germans of being white supremacists, is how you also falsely accuse the Americans of being white supremacists today. They were both falsely accused.
I'm not even really going
Expanded
to entertain this. Like you're
Yeah,
welcome
exactly,
to
because
stay
I'm
on.
white.
You're
Because I'm
welcome to
white.
stay on.
No,
But
It doesn't fit
here's
the
the thing.
narrative.
Like, again, this is not a debate show. I'm not here to try to convince you that white supremacy is a thing. It is, and if
Never
you don't
existed.
agree, then you're welcome to jump off. But we're
It never
here
existed
operating
then, and
under
it
the
didn't exist
auspice
today.
that that white supremacy is
Well,
the root of all of our ills.
who waged war on Germany and America? It was the Democrats. So they falsely made up
Yeah,
white
look,
supremacy then, and then they
you
still
might want
do
to
the
go
same thing
talk to
today.
Jane Withers or Destiny or Javon Bradley or Luke Bees. There's so many folks who have these debate shows and they can talk to you about history and all this. I feel like
It's true.
I'm not that guy. Like, again, if you want to offer some ways forward or what you hope society looks for once the dust settles with all this, wonderful. But we got to operate under some, at least, reality. So, I'm good. I had a conversation with a racist yesterday. I'm kind of
I'll
tapped
say I'm
out.
racist because I'm white. That's my whole point. This is what you guys did to the Germans. Because I'm white, I'm not allowed to have an opinion. If
You're not.
anything I say is
You're welcome
racist,
to
and
jump
that's what
anytime
happened to
because
the
that's not
Germans.
really what we're
That's
talking
what happened
about.
to the Germans. So you're doing the same
Sure.
exact thing. You're just
Yeah,
repeating history.
we sure are,
I'm
aren't we,
I don't
automatically
think
Josh?
he's going to
racist
leave
because I'm white.
voluntarily.
Yeah, we're
See how you
absolutely
guys do?
sure.
See what you guys did to the Germans? How you persecuted? How
Yeah,
evil
we
you guys
sure
were?
did. We sure did.
They were the Democrats in World War II. You see how evil they were?
Okay.
The Germans were walking around. They didn't even know what
And
white
as
supremacists
somebody
were.
who is MAGA
They
and
didn't.
admittedly MAGA,
I'm not MAGA, but I defend the. I
Sam,
defend
But
the
as
Trump
somebody who
side.
is MAGA and admittedly MAGA, um, honestly, like I just want to thank you for at least explaining your thought process very well, offering some
You're
amazing
just.
questions. But this is not the time to
I just wanted to prove you're a
try to
radical. I
rewrite
wanted to prove to you guys
history
that
or
you're a
act as if
radical, extreme
an
leftist.
apple is not an apple and an orange is not an orange.
I just proved to you
Chris, you're
guys
absolutely right.
oh,
but I just proved to
You're
you guys are
absolutely right.
radical. You guys
that
are
was proof.
radicalized by your
We're
party.
radicalized, sure. Okay.
You're like homegrown teas. You're homegrown teas. You know how you're destructive
What is
to
a tea?
humanity.
A
You literally
homegrown
just.
Yeah,
I'm not
tea?
allowed to have an opinion because I'm white. Because
What
What
is
and
a
this
does
is what
tea
the
homegrown?
mean?
Germans. This is how the Germans suffered in World War II because the
What does
Democrats
T
waged
stand
war.
for?
This guy, he's ready
No, they
Let's rock.
suffered because of Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
You can't say the
Sorry,
mustache
mustache
man.
man. Sorry,
You
I'm
can't say
new
What
to
you never knew.
TikTok.
what is
Did you ever?
what is a T? Can you spell it or something so we don't get kicked? But what do you mean
Just
homegrown
realized,
tea?
I can't say the word online. It's not. It's a.
No,
So
just
T
spell
E
it
R
oh,
R
it's a
O
or
I
slur.
S T. No, TERROIST.
oh.
Oh.
But that's what you guys are
Yep, yep.
essentially are. Like literally,
Oh, so much so
you.
that we didn't even know what you were talking about, but yeah.
No, but that's
Yeah.
what you are. You
How?
believe in destruction. You believe in. You're pushing a false narrative that white people are racist. Like you lie.
What?
Oh my
You're
gosh. You know what?
liars. You're deceivers. Nothing you say is true.
Sam, Chris. You guys have seen my I don't know if you have, Sam, but you saw the post that I just did about the racist who was flip-flopping on whether or not the actual issue with America was YT rhetoric and saying things like sun dodgers and stuff like that. That was the real issue with America. A black man responded to that post of mine on Instagram, and he said, "Oh, why are you gaslighting this guy and this and this and this?" And I was really taken aback because I was like, "Wait a minute, I'm gaslighting this racist guy? Like, no, I don't think that's true." So it turns out what this guy was really upset about, and I'm gonna I guess say the elephant in the room. If you saw my baby, you probably know. But my husband is white. My husband is British. And I feel like the reason I don't fall back on that as like a way to prove that I'm not racist towards white people or whatever, like is because it's the same thing that white tea people do, when they try to prove that they're not racist. Oh, I'm married to a black person. I have black children. I my best friend's black. So I don't do that. I don't fall back on that. But it was crazy to me because he used that as an excuse to attack me. So this black man used my white husband as an excuse to admonish me for speaking up for black people. Basically, he was saying like I don't have the credibility to admonish a racist because I married a white person. Any thoughts on that? Just curious, because now should I move forward by
And you only
leading
align
with that, or like what does that mean to you? Especially you, Shock. Like,
your
does
husband
that
would be
change anything for you?
no, because your husband would probably be a self-hating white that validates your hatred towards white people.
Oh, I don't hate white people. Yeah, I don't hate white people.
obviously not right in the head.
Say what,
That
Sam?
he would be more defensive. He would be
Hold
more.
on, Sam was speaking and I couldn't understand him. Sam, say
Just,
that again.
just drop this guy. He is obviously not right in the head. He's rage baiting or something. I don't know.
It's not that he's right. It's not right in the head. He just doesn't have a healthy relationship with
trolling.
himself.
I think you're
Also,
right. I hate to drop people. I really do. Because
I know.
I genuinely feel like people can offer at least some kind of insight or like, cause Sam, like I feel like we don't agree on some things, but ultimately I really appreciate you hanging in there. I think we even started
Yeah,
with
that's
you making fun of
respectful.
me for being so small, and I'm still small. I'm a baby TikToker, but I feel like I've gained a lot from this conversation. I have a lot of things I'm going to look into, even though Liberty went crazy. I still want to check out what is it, the 10th Amendment Center, some Thomas Sowell. So, I think that's what this is about, is finding resources, finding community. Again, just in case things go awry. I married my husband because I love him. I love him very much. He's like the sweetest man in the world. What's so funny is a lot of people talk about how their husbands are, what do you call it? When you they're weaponizing incompetence, right? But I've literally never in my life had an issue with him in that regard. He's the most thoughtful, caring, just helpful. he's a real partner to me. And in that vein, though, I can't say that I like center him still. Like the wireless woman, she might even be on right now, but she has this whole thing about decentering men, decentering the patriarchy. And I think that has a hell of a lot to do with this, to be honest with you. And so as much as I love my husband and as great a couple as we are, I feel like I wouldn't have a problem, like going out on my own tomorrow if I had to, like he's not my whole world. Like,
Okay, you lost me. I'm sorry. You lost me.
what do you mean?
I mean, he's okay with you saying that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
Say what?
I should hope he feels the same, that that everything that, like our relationship isn't transactional, if that makes sense. Like,
But that's not to
Yeah.
say you don't care. You wouldn't have emotions about it,
oh,
right? Yeah.
he's the center of my world in the esoteric sense, but honestly, like I feel I know him well enough. Oh no. It says I have a guest violation warning, so one of y'all
Oh
said something.
no,
Oh,
no.
no.
Oh no.
I don't
I bet
see
it was.
how
I bet it was the
It
last
was
person.
probably me. I'm
No,
still
it
new
was
and trying to figure everything. Like
I don't know.
learning which things I can and
Just,
can't
I don't
say.
know what it was. Just letting you know. But in the sense of, I guess, if something were to happen, so like if I found out he cheated on me, or if I found out that he had a whole nother family somewhere, so I have no idea. Like
Mhm.
I just literally would be like, okay, all right, so we're gonna separate. I'm gonna have kids, and like it just wouldn't even be a thought for me that okay, I have to move on and we have to move forward. Like I don't know. It's just a matter of not centering him. And again, I hope he does the same for me. I don't know. I don't know.
Specific
I don't think it's
levels
that
of
hard.
attachment, that works
Yeah.
for you guys. I think that's great.
Yeah, we're not we have a interdependency. We're not codependent.
Codependent. Yeah.
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 And I again, I think that's kind of helpful in the sense that, not only do I not center my husband, I don't center any man. I don't center the patriarchy. And that's why I find it so repugnant for men to be able to vote on my body and my health care and my kids, and my relationship and stuff like that. So it's just one of those things where, y'all need to follow the wireless woman and her whole decentering men shtick, I guess, because it's really important. That's one of those things that, yeah, if you could have decentered men 10 years ago, wonderful. But if you could start today, decentering
I wouldn't have
men.
my son though, so.
Well, no,
Let me
that's
ask
the
you a
thing.
question, Mr. Rex. I got really,
I have children. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Sam.
I got a really important question. Do you own firearms?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Not here. I live in the UK. I cannot. But when I was in America, I had my concealed weapons permit. Yes.
Okay, Natasha, do you own firearms?
I do.
Okay. Leon, do you own firearms?
I have a license to carry, but I myself do not have a firearm with me.
Okay, I guess my question would be: you keep talking about like abortion laws and who should be able to vote. Like, do you think that people that don't own firearms should be able to vote on firearm laws? Do you think that people who don't own firearms should be able to vote on firearm laws?
Absolutely. I think that
Yeah, because that's
if I had
different.
it
That's
my
something
way,
that you can purchase if you don't have
How is that
it.
different? The Second Amendment is my unalienable right.
Yeah.
Right? So it's everybody's
but
right.
me getting an
Agreed.
AP doesn't walk into a school and
Yeah, AV existed
offer their
before
people's
pew
children.
pews.
Yeah. So yeah, I think anything that could potentially affect other people. In fact, I do this whole series called Sophie's Laws, and I play like a satirical Republican congresswoman, and I make these laws. So I literally have one coming out where there's a new law that everybody gets 100 votes, not just one. Everybody gets 100 votes, but votes are removed the less that an amendment or a resolution or a bill doesn't apply to you. So if you're voting on a guns or pew pews, excuse me, if you're voting on pew pews, then parents of school age children would keep all their votes. People who already own pew pews, they would lose like 20 votes because what's going to prevent you from getting more? You already have one. You don't need to vote on whether or not you can get more or not. This is all hypothetical. It's just for fun. If you're a member of the NRA, you lose all of your votes because you've already paid for your lobbyists to move in Congress anyway. They voted for you in that sense.
Voice.
So it's just a satirical thing. But it's funny that I literally have a little skit coming out to address this very thing. So in my perfect world, everybody would get 100 votes. And again, if it's a vote coming up in the state, whatever, about ABs, only women get the vote. Or if you're a medical professional, you get to keep most of your votes, or if you are a woman but you're over 55, then you don't get any votes. Like, what do you need them for? So literally, I think that would be the better way to move forward.
Okay.
Again,
An
if I had
informed decision. A fully informed decision.
Undemocratic. It's like laughable to me. Okay.
It's satirical. That's why it's laughable.
Well,
yeah.
It's your personal fantasy, right? That's how you'd have it if you had it your way, right?
It's just for fun. But I think what I'm trying to offer is not how I want it to be. Because again, if it were up to me, I don't know what it would be. It would just be something where I don't think voting is necessary at all in this day and age. But I digress. It's just a way to offer a what if or a possibility for how government could work.
So
one of
who's to decide whether or not I can vote on something or not? Do you not see how that could be a slippery slope into fascism or racism?
Well, that is part of my skit. It's like a little 3-minute script, and so I talk about that. How if you're going to bring a bill, if you're going to bring a resolution or whatever, then you have to include the rubric for how the votes get removed for people who aren't affected by it or whatever. So so just like the bill gets argued on the floor, the rubric will also be argued on the floor. So if you're a man and you want to have some say, then your congressperson could argue for men to have more say on ABs for some reason.
Well, you just talked yourself in a circle. So by your own standard, I should be able to vote on whatever bill I want, right? And not be impeded by that.
No, because your congressperson would do that for you. So you would vote for the congressperson that you want to have your best interests on weighing in on whatever bill or resolution would come up for you to vote on.
Okay, so is denying somebody their opportunity to vote on a bill fascist?
Well, here's the thing: you'll never get less than one.
No, okay.
So you can only get 99. So even men who are 90 years old and don't have any kind of medical knowledge will still get one vote if they want to weigh in on a AB bill. Okay, and
so
again, this is completely satirical. This is just for fun.
We're not talking about the hypothetical anymore. Do you believe that denying somebody their opportunity to vote is a fascist idea?
But how is? Well, yeah. Just to answer your question flat out, yeah, sure, yeah. But that's not what this is. You still get a vote.
No, I'm not talking about the hypothetical anymore. We just both agreed that by denying somebody their opportunity to vote, whether it be on AV or firearms or whatever you want, that's a fascist idea. We disagreed on that.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so I should be able to vote on abortion if I want to, right?
Yes, and you would get, under my hypothetical.
Well, I'm not talking about the hypothetical.
You would still get one vote. Yeah.
I'm not talking about the hypothetical anymore. See, I just caught you in a logical fallacy. All right.
Go for it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you probably did. This is not a debate show. I'm probably throwing them out there like candy. But explain it to me.
Your way of thinking is so. It makes no logical sense. Like you can't tell me that men shouldn't be allowed to vote on abortion laws, and then go in the same breath and say that denying somebody their opportunity to vote is a fascist idea. You just can't say that. Like that, there's no logical connection there.
Well, outside of the hypothetical, I do not believe that. I don't believe that men should have a vote on ABs at all.
So you're a fascist then?
No, because how is that?
Okay,
how is
I'm
that?
done. You're way too black-pilled for me to even convince you. Like you're just so lost. I can't convince you. So I'm done wasting my time.
Well, don't be like that. I thought we were having a nice time.
No, you're so lost in your own argument. Like there's nothing I can say to convince you. So I'm done with
Shame.
Well, convince me of what? That men should be able to have a vote on.
You're so scared of fascism. You're so scared of fascism, and in the same breath, you just spew fascist ideas like it's nothing. Like
You're not. If you don't identify as a woman, though, if you don't have those.
My unalienable right as a U.S. citizen is the opportunity to vote. Yes or no?
But to vote on representation, to vote on things that actually impact
just say
you.
You're a fascist. Admit it. You're a fascist.
No, I'm not. So
it's
I
over.
can't admit that.
Goodbye.
Well,
I mean, you could make it equal by, implementing something similar.
I appreciate you coming on for as long as you did and being a voice of some kind of reason from the MAGA Republicans. So thank you for your time, Sam. I hate he had to leave under such a sour note, but yeah, okay, that's all right.
How are you live often?
Here's the thing. I'm trying to go live every weeknight. But I find myself having to take these fucking extended mental health breaks. So literally, the last one I did was last week, and this guy just drained me so much because he went. I don't know if you saw the last video that I did.
Mm-hmm.
But it was that guy, just spinning you around and around and around with the fact that, oh well, I'm upset that black people are saying white racial slurs. Oh, so you're upset about that? I'm not upset. Okay, so well then, okay, so well then what's the problem? Well it's
Yeah.
because people can be just as racist to white people as they can be to black people, and it's like, so you want to have the same level of victimhood that you think black people have?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be a victim. And it's like, well, what the fuck are you saying
What are you
then? If you're
proposing? Yeah.
the one who said it, so I swear to God, I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
I don't get it
Leonizing
either.
is pretty amazing. I'm gonna see if yeah, I'm already following them. But yeah, I don't know. I don't understand. Welcome back, Shock. I and here's the thing: these are people who clearly are diametrically opposed to what I'm saying. Why are they wanting to waste their time and mine to come up here and debate on what's not a debate show? you know, I'm
Yeah.
literally like, hey, go to standwithsophie.com. If you too think the world is going to hell, let's try to figure out some ways to build it back up together. Let's try to figure out some
Hmm.
ways to do this together. Because what the fuck is so wrong with that? Like, what's so wrong with being ready or being prepared? I don't understand. So,
I don't either. And, I think about it like when COVID hit, I prepared before any type of announcement. I think it was back in like June.
oh, you muted. Tosh, you muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you said it was
Okay.
going to be
Yeah.
what?
So like during COVID, before they made any official announcement, I had started preparing, like stocking up on masks and water and things like that because nobody was taking it seriously. And I didn't care, I'm like, okay, whatever, I'm bringing home boxes of masks because I don't know if my friends and family in different states are going to be able to get them because nobody's taking it seriously, but also, because Donald Trump was not mentioning anything about it, but I think it's always better to be safe than sorry. And I just feel like, we're usually right about these things, but also
Mm-hmm.
we we have to know history and just dissect that and understand the juxtaposition between, what's going on now. I don't see how you can ignore those things, those facts.
And here's the thing: the people who have come on thus far
Hmm.
who say the house isn't burning, nothing's going on, the economy's going to be fine. You're good. You're in a recession now, and you're not complaining. It's like I genuinely think that is the epitome of white privilege. I genuinely think they cannot see past the fact that yes, they're going to be just fine. They're going to be able to
Yeah.
hold a job. They're going to be able to ride out this economy. They're going to be able to buy and rent houses. They're going to be able to rely on each other and nepo baby their ways out of everything. They're going to be
Hmm.
able to rely on their parents. They're going to be able to do. They're going to be able to have the benefit of the job. They're
Yeah.
not going to get deported. They're not going to get accosted. So
Hmm.
it's yes, they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
So I believe them, and I understand that they believe it when they say that. But it's just staggering to me that they can't get out of their own way
I
to
know.
give
I know.
the tiniest little fuck about anybody else.
You know what? You know
You
what? You
know
know what really made me mad?
what's up?
Um, you know, the day after, I don't think, okay, so I think what day was the election? The 5th, right? So the 6th,
January. Oh, November
yeah,
16th.
the 6th,
Sixth, sixth,
nobody, I don't think anybody
fifth
came
of
to
yeah.
work. I think everybody was told not to come to work that day because it was going to be so solemn. I mean, we've worked so hard in 107 days, to try to get her elected. And one of the people, the YTs that like I am still reeling over it because nobody ever has to take accountability for anything. One of the YTs, my boss, my manager who was there was sitting next to me, and the cybersecurity, the guy that's like in charge of cybersecurity walked over, and we were all kind of like crying, sitting at our desks, quiet. Nobody was really talking to each other, and he goes, she goes, "How are you? How are you doing?" When he came over, and he goes, "Oh, I'm fine. I feel good." And I'm like, wow. I was like, oh, it took everything in me, but I was like, wow, like they really don't care. This just solidified every feeling that I had been feeling and experiencing throughout the whole duration of working on the campaign. So, yeah.
I'm sorry. That was
But
a terrible day.
it was.
I think for me, the thing that struck me the most is that, like, why did I even have hope? Why did I even invest an iota of hope?
Well, you know
or
why? Because they sold it to
possibility?
us. But I mean, at the same time, it really was historic. I mean, nobody had ever raised that amount of money. I mean, we broke so many records, but because she didn't win the election, it wasn't, whatever. But then also there's the other things that I take issue with the Democrats internally. And I'm sure, you've heard there's like so many articles and people in the news like coming out about their experiences working there. And
No, I have not heard. What is there to hear? What's going on?
no, I mean, just like right after the election, people's experiences working on the campaign and issues that they had that went unresolved or unaddressed, or not mitigated in the way that they should have. And and then they ended up laying off, I think what it was, 75% of their employees. And that was employees that, there were several of us who were hired full time, but it's like temporary. So we knew we had end dates of November because we were cycle hires, but there's people that worked at the DNC who had been there, for years. One guy I know was there for like 40 years. And they let all of these people go with 1 day's notice, let them know they weren't getting any severance or anything. And those people were non-cycle hires. Those were people that were like actual employees that were not supposed to, be leaving after the election. They should have been staying there. So there's just like a lot that they are doing wrong. And I mean, I think that you hear people, if you listen to political radio and progressive radio and, actually talk to people on the ground and see what everybody is saying, every single person is like in unison that the Democrats just do not get it right now. And they're not, like, as a whole. Of course, we have some that do get it, but there's just not enough. They're not taking it seriously enough. It's a dire situation. And, those people that are saying, those Chuck Schumer and all of them need to move to the back. They really do. They really need to just get out of the way.
Writing their stupid fucking letters.
I can't do it anymore.
Questions.
I can't.
I bet Trump gets you. Well, first of all, did you see that picture of Chuck Schumer in the Oval Office?
No.
Like laughing with Trump right before the fucking that budget bill vote?
No.
Like he's one of them. He's on their side. It's very clear. Like he's not like, it's not like if you look at all of the
he's a Hill Democrat.
Say what now?
He's a Hill Democrat. He's not like, he doesn't know what's going on. And he's only
But
there because he brings in big money, big donors.
right, and the thing is, like, if you look at though, like everything that Trump is doing,
Mm-hmm.
and then you look at it in the context of him being like a Russian shill, like it makes more sense, or if you look at it, not that he identifies with MAGA per se, but that he
Mm-hmm.
is and has always been and will forever be a grifter,
Mm-hmm.
if you look at it from those lenses, then everything starts to make sense. Oh, he's doing things that are gonna, let him be able to ride these stock market fluxes, and to let his big rich donors, giving them the heads up on when to invest and when to pull out and all that. Then it makes more sense as to why he would want these fluctuations.
Yeah.
And so, like, beautiful Sam and lovely liberal who were on earlier before they crashed out,
Mm-hmm.
they're trying so hard, God bless them, to explain, well, no, because if the tariffs did this, then China wouldn't be able to have the factories to do this because they subsidize this and the CCP and this. And so the reason that he's doing it is because he wants to destabilize China. And it's like they go through so many mental gymnastics
Man,
to
yeah.
justify this. When again, all you have to do is look at, if I were a Russian shill, if I were only in it for myself, if I were in it to support me and my rich cronies, these are the actions I would take. And those are the actions that he's taking. And so to me, it's kind of the same thing with Chuck Schumer. Like, if I were actually, like you said, a Hill Democrat, if I was actually in it for my lobbyists and for my PACs and for my, the DNC and all these people, or if I was actually in the name of bipartisanship actually riding the center in a detrimental way to my own party, then it starts to make more sense as to why he's doing or not doing the things that he is or is not doing. So, long story short, I don't trust any of them, but especially not Chuck Schumer. And honestly, and I know I'm kind of blabbing a bit. Please feel free to jump in.
No, I'm happy. I'm like happy to have somebody to talk to.
I know it's hard. Like I'm trying to look at the fact that even if Kamala won, I think the difference that would have happened between her and Obama as minority presidents, I think Obama had to be a president. He had to be a US president. So all this shit that liberal was all mad about Obama making the economy difficult for her as a small business and this and that,
Yeah.
whatever. That's stuff that US presidents do. They enact laws that do, they'll always bring up the whole, he used drones and he killed people with drones. It's like, yeah, that's what US presidents do. They everybody bombs Yemen, everybody does. That's what US presidents do. And so I kind of feel like the thing we're missing the most is that if Kamala had gotten in, I don't know if she would have had to also kind of ride that line, and play the game and let the Pentagon go crazy and support all these proxy wars and give all this money to Israel and still do the things that US presidents do. But I also feel like she would have brought a level of humanity,
sanity.
To the role. I think she would have shorn up where she could some abuses of power that had been left open by previous presidents, because those are the things that she did in her previous roles,
Yeah.
And so it's wonderful to see that she made everything more about the people. She did a lot of criminal justice reform. She did a lot for not only the Black community, which was a focus of hers, but also for the community at large in her jurisdictions. And so I think that we could have seen a president who actually, didn't act in the same manner that all US presidents have just sort of fallen into this template of. So that's disappointing. But we also can't see the future. We can't predict the future. We don't know. So if she had continued this same process of eroding, or I guess consolidating executive power, like every president before her, has done, we might have ended up with maybe not Trump, but a Trump-like figure, H-man-like figure, in 2030 or sorry, in 2032 or, at some point in the future anyway. So maybe her being in office staved off the inevitable of what a unitary executive is. And so I don't know, but we can't predict the future. And this is just me kind of waxing poetic about what could have happened. I think it could have been beautiful, maybe. And if it wasn't, then maybe we would have wound up right back here anyway at some point. So, considering that this is our current reality, again, I'm just going to continue to ask, what do we do? Let's go to standwithsophie.com and let's get through this. Let's survive it. And then let's think about how we want to move forward. How do we want to have, a system where people can vote on shit that has nothing to do with that?
Yeah.
So, do we want a system where that could create another Donald Trump? Do we want a system that has systemic racism and the effects of slavery so baked in, that they impact us today, and all of us? I think white people think that it's only Black people that complain about slavery are impacted by slavery and white supremacy. But it's like, no, you guys, we have college tuition because of racism. You could have had free school this whole time, without racism. We only have ambulances because of Black people needing to be able to get people to Black hospitals, which are usually further away. So you wouldn't even have a whole EMT ambulance system if it weren't for white supremacy. You wouldn't be able to SWAT people, without white supremacy. We would have more public swimming pools without white supremacy. Climate change wouldn't even be a fucking thing without white supremacy. It's like, all this stuff impacts them too. And it's like they just refuse to see it, or just are so happy with it impacting Black people a little bit more than them, so they seem to be okay with it. But girl,
Yeah.
I don't know. We're just trying to survive today.
One thing I've been wanting to pose, and I plan on making a video at some point about it, though, is just, I'm curious to know from an Indigenous perspective how this is all affecting them, because this starts with them, and they're almost nowhere to be heard in the conversation. And it's just crazy how we have to fight for this country and everybody's freedoms, but at the same time it kind of feels gross, because it's like it wasn't ours to begin with, and here I am arguing with people about the Constitution, and it's just about, really, I mean, for me it just boils down to human rights, but I'm trying to put it in like a tangible way, the Constitution, and free speech and free, this and that. And I just wonder how they feel about all of this, because I don't know, they've just been erased so badly. It's crazy.
Absolutely. Well, I have two thoughts in regards to Indigenous people. The first being that they are being addressed in the worst of ways. Donald Trump is trying to say that they aren't really American citizens because they have their own nations.
Wow.
So absolutely they can be tariffed. They can be, we can we don't have to give them money anymore. We don't have to respect their reservations beyond looking at them as, borders or territories.
Right.
So that's one thing. And then secondarily, um, a lot of Native Americans are getting caught up in these ICE deportations. They can't tell brown people apart.
Right. All brown people look the same. Right.
Exactly. And so it's one of those things where, yes, indigenous people are part of the conversation, but not in the ways that we should, hope for or want at all. And how awful is that? But,
Yeah.
I think when it comes to, again, maybe when the dust settles, the society that we could strive to have, afterwards, because, Germany did rebuild. And I dare say it, I think they're a much more beautiful, amazing country than we ever could have anticipated, given how low they went.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the fact that even today they're fighting the same battles from resurging that they overcame in the past. It's insane.
It's in every country they're popping up.
Yeah, it's nuts.
These groups.
Yeah. So when we're the Germans coming out from under the rubble, how do we want to reshape our country? I think that you're absolutely right. I think indigenous people need to be front and center in the conversation.
That'll never happen. That'll never happen.
It will never happen. But it should. And honestly, if there's that small chance that we can shape, our country, I think it starts, like Sam said, if we could have started this conversation of how do we move forward 10 years ago, awesome. But if we start today, this is the next best time.
Right.
So, I only have like 2 or 3 people. It seems to go between 2 and 5 people watching. But I really do want to build this platform out so that we can grow, stand with Sophie. So if TikTok goes away or whatever happens, we have a place that has secure comms and a place for us all to chat and talk so that we can make these plans, do this organizing so that we can be ready to say, okay, here's what we want. Here's the type of government we need.
Yeah.
Do we need a government at all? How does this work moving forward? So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen?
I love this. I didn't even know that you could do this. So this is really awesome. So you can anybody can just pop in whenever they want.
Yeah, and tell me more about your journey because I love the videos you're doing. Love them.
Thank you.
Are you going to do lives soon, or what's your plan?
I'm just really scared. It's just uncomfortable to begin with. So I know I need to try to keep up with it if I, want to build it out. But I don't know. I mean, I just feel like the world's gone to shit, and I'm just very passionate about what's happening right now. Especially being the daughter of an immigrant who is a staunch Trump supporter. It's really wild. So I don't know. I'm just ready. It's just gotten to the point where after the election, I was numb. I was pissed. I couldn't stand anybody for a month. And my sister would tell me things that were happening that Trump was doing. And I'm like, I can't comprehend it right now. I'm just so drained, and it was AOC, it was AOC's, you too.
Yeah. How are you? How's everything? Yeah. Go ahead, Natasha.
Oh, it was AOC's, my sister showed me, she made a video and she was saying, the goal is to overwhelm you and to worry you. And, she just made me feel better about things. And then all of a sudden stuff started going from 0 to 100. They started deporting, abducting citizens, all of that stuff. And I see, since the class that I'm taking in school right now, I was going to try to go back and get my bachelor's because I don't have a degree, period. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford it. And it's just, life is just crumbling down right now. So I'm like, I guess it's a good time, if shit goes crazy, if anything happens, like just start saying things that I've always wanted to say that I've never had anybody, listen to me or, heed what I have to say. But I feel like, I'm just listening to so many new voices and so many independent and thoughtful people and thinkers. And it's like, I feel like my ideas and thoughts align with that. So I'm like, okay, I do know what I'm talking about, it's just, there's a lot of gaslighting going on, but I'm just kind of coming to the point where I'm trying to come out of my comfort zone and just do the thing. Because like you said, I don't know, I don't know what's going to happen, but something, whatever's already been done right now, this is going to take a shit ton of time to rebuild. All of the stuff he's dismantled, all of the data, like,
that's probably the scariest part for me. Is that part of why you're exhausted and overwhelmed, Sapphic?
Well, as a teacher.
Oh God!
Oh yay!
Enough said.
Listen. I've had a lot of in-person and phone call spats with the Department of Education. However, we are worse off without the Department of Education.
Of course.
So I am currently not working in a classroom. I'm staying away from public school. And I'm looking for a nannying position so that I have at least some sort of stability, because I can't continue to fight the good fight if I don't have stability, at least financially. Like mental stability, wavering.
Oh no!
No, it's fine. It's fine. We got this.
Like you are just on the right track. Like Tosh, like I feel so bad for saying this, but now is kind of the time to not go to school. Don't do that. If you're gonna do it and you're in it, perfect. Because again, I don't think we're quite at that point, but there's going to come a point. I think we're there. I think it'll be more apparent to everyone at some point that work's not gonna fucking matter, school's not gonna matter, going on a date's not gonna matter. We gotta batten down the hatches. we gotta like take care of each other. We need to know that our neighbor has what their go bag, what's in their go bag, so we can make sure that our go bag has things that complement it, and that maybe they have a water filtration situation and we have batteries, and we need to start like facing the reality that like going to church doesn't fucking matter right now. Like
community
again,
is the
I don't know
biggest
if we're
thing.
quite there.
Yeah.
But I think you're on the right track, Sapphic. It just it makes no sense to go into a schoolhouse as a student, as a teacher, as a professor, as a college student. Like
not right now. Like I might go back, in the future. But I was so burnt out. So I have been I think it was the end of last year, the last day of Teacher Appreciation Week. This was really nice of them. They decided to tell me that they weren't going to rehire me for the next year. And I was like, oh, I feel so appreciated as a teacher. Thank you. Love that so much, babe. So I have been working part-time with one of my nanny families that I see a couple times a week. But other than that, I haven't been at work. I have been healing myself mentally and physically, because I realized in the 3 years that I was working at the school that I did, I was so damn depressed. I was exhausted. I burnt myself out completely. I'm 33. This shouldn't be a thing. I was only in a public school system for 6 years as a teacher. So, I recently got diagnosed with autism. I got diagnosed a couple years ago with ADHD. So I'm trying to learn.
According to Bobby Kennedy, you don't exist. You can't talk.
You know what? I'm also a lesbian too. So yeah.
You're really off the map.
Yep. and I'm on anti anxiety meds. So you know what? Like, go ahead, Robert, take my meds, because I can tell you right now, it's not going to end well for you, babe.
Yeah, I don't think we want
If
that.
you think
But I
I'm
didn't
a
mean to
problem
interrupt.
currently,
Please go ahead.
Jeez.
if
Wait.
I'm a problem currently, you have no idea what's going to happen when I get off my meds.
So, can I ask who, you're in the States, you said?
Yes, I'm in Massachusetts.
Okay, so how were you diagnosed? Because I've been suspecting for myself as well, but from what I've been seeing, like there's not a whole lot of therapists yet that are educated on or, knowledgeable about, autism in women and autism in,
So you need a psychologist,
okay,
because a therapist is there for to bounce your feelings off of, and like have
yeah,
conversations with, and kind of like deconstruct stuff. Psychiatrists are the ones that can
prescribe
like
medicine.
actually like diagnose you and prescribe you. So like I said, I'm a teacher. I was noticing in my high school students that I was working with in the past couple of years, and I'm seeing them with like ADHD and autism, and I'm looking through their like IEPs and 504s and everything, like their education plans. And I'm like looking at it going, oh, okay, all right, just making sure I have everything and I can support them the best I can. And then I'm watching them interact and just like being in my classroom, and I'm going,
Hey,
oh,
Becky.
girl, there are so many similarities between me and my ADHD students. So I called my doctor and I was like, hey, I think I have ADHD. How do I get diagnosed? And they set me up with a psychiatrist. And then after just having a conversation with him in person, he's like, yeah, you have ADHD. We can try this and like different skills and everything that we can, figure out how your brain specifically works. He recommended a book to me that's ADHD in Women, and I can put it in the chat if you would like to read it. It's very interesting, and it's definitely helped me give myself more grace, and give myself like a moment to be like, okay, like you're frustrated, but let's not take the frustration out on like yourself. And then with the autism, I was talking with my psychiatrist. I was like, hey, I'm noticing things that don't just feel ADHD-ish.
Mm-hmm.
So we had that conversation. Yeah.
Like, what were
When
some
you
of
got your
those?
diagnosis, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tasha.
I was just going to ask if you didn't mind speaking. What are some of the things that made you suspect that you were autistic?
So with the autism, and this is the one of the other issues. There's a lot of like crossover with ADHD.
Yeah.
So the things that I was noticing was like the biggest one was that, and I don't know how in the hell I didn't realize this, but like realizing in myself that I need to be like, if I'm like, for example, like if I have something planned for the next day and I have to get up early, I have to make sure that I have like a multitude of alarms, but then I also have to, by each specific time, I have to get something done, like specifically, like, okay, at this time I need to go get coffee, at this time I need to have breakfast, at that time I need to like take my shower. I have to use this specific mirror when I'm like getting ready in the morning. When I was at my parents' house, just like animal sitting when they went to like Vegas or whatever, it threw me off because I was in a completely different place. Having to adjust my schedule, the time frame in which I had to leave for work, and like bringing all of my stuff, and it made me really anxious that I wasn't around my own things, and that like my plan wasn't the same and comfortable than like when I'm at home. If there's change in plans in general, I noticed that was a hard thing for me to deal with as well. One of the crossovers between ADHD and autism is like you get overstimulated very easily, whether it's like noises, people,
Being touched.
Yes, touch is a big one too. I'm not a big fan of being touched. Now, I don't know if that's because of autism or if that's just because like my mom, like my dad were never like huggers when I was a kid. And like my mom started hugging me like a couple of years ago because she went to therapy. Like, so like I don't know, but I sometimes I realize that like I have issues with interacting, like social interaction with people. If I don't know you or I'm not comfortable with you.
Becky said, real quick, Becky says girls and women are very good at disguising symptoms
Yes.
and adjusting to things more than boys or men. It's very
Yep.
interesting. She
That's
says
my
smells too. One of her boys hates certain smells, and it results in meltdowns.
Yeah, well, I would also have meltdowns as a kid because I didn't like the feel of like a turtleneck I was wearing, specifically the turtleneck part, or like long sleeves. I
texture.
couldn't do, yeah, my socks. I couldn't have like those, like the seams on my toes because I would literally crash out. And I'm just like looking at my parents going, how the fuck did y'all not know? Like, this is not like average behavior from a child.
That's terrible.
Yeah, but
like,
I'm also
I
high
mean,
maintenance too.
Oh, she said her the tags in her clothes get cut out in her
Yes,
house.
I do that too. Or I buy specific shirts and like pants that don't have any tags, and it's just like printed on the back. So yeah.
Yeah, those are good. You know, honestly, like, because the whole point of this show is to be in preparation. Should we need to be ready for some sort of survival situation? So, as somebody who's, I'm guessing, more newly diagnosed, is that accurate?
Yes.
Like, would it be possible for you, or are you on medications, or is there something you can do to have a bit of a stockpile of your meds, or to preemptively buy enough clothing or fidget spinners or whatever things that you might need for an extended situation that will put you outside of your comfort zone? Like, what are some things that autistic women especially can do, or people can do, to prepare for their routine getting upset, for power outages, for long-term situations where they may need to adjust their routine or might not have access to some of the comforts that they're used to or that they need?
So I love that question. So I've actually been slowly stockpiling my like ADHD meds. TikTok, this is a joke. Not doing this at all.
Yeah. Hypothetically, and just for
Hypothetically
satire,
speaking.
you know, that's something you should be doing. Haha.
Yeah. My anxiety meds, however, have been a little more difficult to like stockpile because I have to take them every single day. My ADHD pills I take like 5 days a week. But what my psychiatrist has been doing, that there's two different types of like Adderall that you can get. So there's one that is instant release that you take like twice a day, and then there's another one that's like long release that lasts for 12 hours. So we had like a probably not the most professional conversation like maybe like a couple of months ago in regards to like politics and stuff, because I want to know who I'm speaking to. And I know technically they're not allowed to talk about politics, and that's perfectly fine. However, I'm going to look at your face, like your facial expressions when I say like RFK Jr. is like a dummy, like, or, you know, I disagree with this, and hey, I'm really worried about this. And luckily enough, we were on the same page, and we kind of like, you know, bitched and moaned about that together. So he's been putting in both of those prescriptions for me. So I have a good amount of them. It's not the worst if I'm not on my Adderall, but like my brain just feels chaotic. It's loud. Executive function, not there. Cannot do shit. My mood severely like dips, where I'm just like, maybe not like full on like sad, but I'm very like melancholy. I don't want to do anything. I'm just going to stay here in my house, which then kind of like brings my depression into play because I'm not getting up, I'm not moving, I'm not doing anything, and then like the negative thoughts and everything else come into my brain. And it makes it hard to do things when I don't have my medication. But in regards to like, I have, oh my God, the amount of fidgets that I have between the ones that I bought and brought back with me when I was working in the classrooms and just random ones that I would have already or recently purchased. I have so many of them. And I always expect the worst. So I have a bunch of like first aid kits, like that literally have everything under the sun. I have like those chargers and stuff that uses like the sun to whatever that word is, to like power it up and everything. Yeah.
Mr. J says hi to you, by the way. He says hello.
Hey, Mr. J. I hope you're having a good one, sweetie. So I've kind of like, I'm a planner. I got lists upon lists upon lists.
Hey, shameless plug, right? StandWithSophie.com. I have a whole Sophie survival kit. I've got lists of gear that you might need. I have reading recommendations. We have plans for how to secure your tech. I'm going to be doing live trainings. I have one this Saturday that I'm going to do for free on TikTok. And then for members, I have ones that I do bi-weekly.
Oh, I love that.
There's so much there. You can get the survival guide for free. Just, again, standwithsophie.com.
I screenshotted it.
I'm going to, please do. And I'm going to be adding some of your wonderful recommendations as well. And we have secure comms. We have a whole like chat and forum. So please go there. And, if you can even join Sapphic, I would love it, because if you can offer that wisdom from your perspective.
Oh, absolutely.
And not only as an autistic person, but as a lesbian, oh my God, like you're under attack right now. And so if there are ways to, just be a balm to other people who are going through what you're going through. Like I'm of the mindset, like I was talking to a beautiful trans woman in Texas, and I was like, yo, whatever you have to do to get out. Because they were like, I really wanted my passport to say this. And I'm like, look, don't even worry about it. If it says M, just be a M until you can get the fuck out. Just get the fuck,
exactly.
So like, take care of you first, and then we'll worry about principles and all that later. You know, so the fact that I know gay marriage is under attack, like, whatever you can do to start right now, if you're with someone, whether you're married or not, start looking at how your finances and your documentation and your deeds and your contracts are all, how are those situated? Do you need to put things in trust where you both are beneficiaries? Do you like you need to start looking at how to operate if shit hits the fan, because it's probably gonna.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate, but again, that's why I think it's so important. StandWithSophie.com. I know it's a shameless plug, but I genuinely feel like these are the kind of conversations. Thank you so much.
Like, also, this is your live, first of all. Plug.
All right, I'm gonna stay like this for the whole thing. But no, I just feel like it's such a tiny little site right now, but it could be this blossoming thing where we have, so many people of different experiences, like yourself, like Tasha, with children, and who's dealing with, all the things that who has a familiarity with the politics of things that other people don't. Like there's so much that we can each offer to each other to help us get through this. And then to, like we were talking about earlier, like shape what we want to emerge from the ashes, because Germany did it. Hungary is going to have to do it. Argentina is going to have to. But places have done it. We're going to be okay. But it starts with, again, we should have been planning 10 years ago, like Sam said, but, the second best time is now. And so that's why I think we need to do that. So thank you, Becky. Becky is my darling baby NICU nurse. So,
oh, I love her.
I love seeing her on here. Thank you.
Is she the one that was like highlighted in the video?
No, that was Annie,
Okay.
sorry, but
Okay.
she was from St. Peter's. But no, Becky is amazing. She was with her for 3 months, and so yeah, awesome sauce.
Love that.
I love
Yeah.
that. Oh, it's also another thing I was just thinking of, because you were talking about, like, for people on the spectrum, or, neurodivergent people in general. But this could also be used for anyone, everyone and everyone. Anyone and everyone. Sorry, my meds are actually wearing off now.
Executive functioning. Hang on there for a little longer.
Yep. You guys ready? So one of the biggest things that I've learned with working with my students, and just being like a human being, different skills in working through like your feelings and things like that, like when you're feeling overwhelmed, what potentially could be working better for you, having like either a physical or like a mental toolbox of different ways to deal with like high stress situations. I noticed that like I was going into a tailspin because I was taking in all of this like breaking news, and our brains are not made to take in that much information that rapidly. So like being aware, but like pulling yourself back a bit, and still doing things that make you happy, because the one thing that they don't want us to be is happy. They don't want us to be thriving. They want us to be overwhelmed and sad and depressed and just like give up. And I'm petty, and I will outlive all of those old shits that are all in the office right now. I refuse to go anywhere.
I know.
And they are old. And
Yes. My God, are
another thing
they?
I don't get. Like they're 80, 90, making decisions that they'll never have to suffer the
That's another
consequences
thing.
for.
Yeah, nobody
It's
mentions
so
that, but
selfish.
are we immortal and we just don't know, because I just don't understand the need to have this legacy, whatever. Once you die, like you're not going to know
Yeah.
how great your legacy was. I
Or how
don't.
bad it was.
Exactly. And it's not going
Right.
to be affecting them.
No,
It's just
Louis
not. And you
C.K.
can have
His
enough money to
mom.
save for a couple of generations, but like shit,
Exactly.
Yeah,
let
but
But
like
help people thrive now, or else it's not going to be good down the line.
they don't care
no,
about us.
exactly. I have you ever heard of Louis C.K.? He's like my favorite comedian in the whole wide world.
Oh, I
Yes,
love him.
yes.
Yeah.
He has this bit where he's like, my mom was like, when I die, I want to have a funeral with just a small amount of people, and can you put my ashes in? He's like, I'm not running errands for you. You're dead.
Girl, you're gone.
That's
What are you going to do?
Like, yeah, I don't give a shit what happens to my body or anything afterwards. But like, it's like, yeah, they genuinely think they can take it with them.
I don't
Yeah.
understand it.
No, so
Well,
yeah,
like, and
I
the thing
guess.
is, even if they were younger, these things aren't affecting them anyways, because
No.
they are rich, YT, cis het men. And like, it's just, it's
Somebody asked-
ridiculous. Leave
And
my
they're the
women
most
alone,
fragile
weirdos.
ones.
Yeah, somebody
The
asked me on an open
most.
mic. It's like 12:15 here. Good night, Becky.
Oh, nice.
I love her so much. But no, like it's one of these things where somebody asked me what I think the crux of the issue is. Like, what do I think is the thing that is causing America to fail? And I was like, white supremacy, of course.
Yeah.
White supremacy.
It's what this country
But
is
now
built
that I'm
on.
thinking about it, I think it's actually more specific. I think it's white heteronormative Christian nationalism.
Yes.
I think it's literally all those things. In fact, the wireless woman and I did at the end of YT History Month, which is another satirical thing I do.
But what about straight pride, guys?
Say what now?
What about straight pride?
That's exactly why we did it. So I did YT History Month because I was so tired of hearing, what about you got black Christians? So I'm like, okay, let's do that then. Let's do it.
Oh my
And so
god.
what's even funnier is it was March, but I'm still doing videos because every month is YT History Month. Okay, so but no, the Wireless Woman and I did a special live where we talked about decentering men because that's her thing. And then I was like decentering whiteness. And so we looked at the four pillars that were holding up the patriarchy essentially. And that was it. It's religion,
Mm-hmm.
it's nationalism,
Mm-hmm.
it's whiteness,
Mm-hmm.
and the other one is the sexuality piece, like the heteronormative heteronormativity, I guess. And so yeah, like literally all of those things. All of those things.
And
And so
it's
it's
crazy.
crazy.
That's it. It's so crazy because listen, as a YT woman, I am aware of my privilege, and I try my best to use my privilege to help my other like people, whether they're in the 2S LGBTQA plus community or not, and remembering that intersectionality is important. It's a thing.
Mhm.
Focus on that. Fuck the government, but focus on that, right? But for my palm colored peeps to think that we are the
I just had
superior
to look at my palm and
race,
see.
like it absolutely takes me out because like I know so many YT people that don't use a washcloth in the bath in like the shower.
Oh
I know
my.
I know so many YT people that don't know how to wash their ass properly. Like
Mhm.
that don't know that you're supposed to, oil your body and use lotion and do all of these
Front to
things.
back.
Oh my god, like we had to be taught basic hygiene by native people
Mhm.
when we first came to this country, and yet there are still palm colored peeps that smell like wet dog and pennies when they get hit with rain.
Well, I heard a really interesting theory, I guess, around that. So I can't credit this to me. I wish I knew the woman who it was a black woman who was pondering this, and she said, I wonder if white people, and I shouldn't say it. And the thing is, the more I say YT people, in full, I get dinged. Like I could potentially get kicked
Yeah,
for
you have to
saying
say like
that.
YT. You can't say the
Yeah.
whole thing.
And so,
Mm-hmm.
but so people wonder why we say Mayo sapiens or 8.5 by 11s or palm color people because we'll get kicked if we don't. We're not trying to be racist. It's literally we don't have a choice. It's but she was saying that people, the palm colored variety, are so proud and vocal and saying how nasty they are with their whole chest.
Mm-hmm.
Because their purity, it's like a test of their purity. The whiteness, the whiteness, I'm gonna get kicked, is their purity. And it's almost like it's like their ability, it's like a privilege in itself to be able to say, look at how nasty I am. And yet I'm still this pure, clean, closer to God being just because of my whiteness. And I was like,
I mean, you can believe that.
oh.
I mean, I think that is completely incorrect. And like purity culture literally comes from YT people. It's all fucking bullshit.
Absolutely. Christian
Mm-hmm.
normativity.
Yeah, of course.
Heteronormativity.
It goes back to, Europeans and colonization. It's
Yes.
all it's just
Like
they
I
do
was on
things. I guess I feel like it's just, it's just in them. I don't know if anybody studied that. I feel like it's not anecdotal. I feel like it has to be a fact. But I
Oh,
mean,
it's definitely not anecdotal. I grew up as Catholic. Think a higher power, whoever, whatever. I did not live in like YT suburbia. I grew up where the majority was the minority and the minority was the majority. So my neighbors were the ones that taught me how to cook, and my neighbors were from Jamaica, Haiti, Cape Verde, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, like how to properly like wash my hair. my best friends' families. And like the reason why I know about the African net sponge, that's because of beautiful black women that I lived next to. Like, I don't smell like pennies because of a community that I am not a part of.
Oh my gosh.
Like,
Oh
my
my
parents
God.
did not parent me. My parents were very like hands off. But in regards to the Christianity aspect, I was in actually a mutual of mine's live talking about Christianity, and there was all these Christians in the comments like angry about whatever the background was, which I can't remember. But you know, they're saying, well, you know,
They're always
Christianity,
angry about something.
honest to God, it's sad. All that hate in your heart, you're gonna age like milk,
Oh
babe.
my God. I don't mean to interrupt you,
Oh,
but
you're
you
fine.
missed three of the craziest crash outs. Like, for no reason. Like, they are so angry. It makes no sense to me. So yeah,
Well,
I'm glad you came on when you did, because it's so much more peaceful. But go ahead. I'm sorry, honey.
it's crazy how people just like let their emotions overrun them.
Like, ridiculously. Yes.
It's sad, but like I was in the live, and I'm on panel because I couldn't like type fast enough, and they were just getting on my nerves and stuff. And someone was flipping out about Christianity being the one and only true religion and blah blah blah, and then they were like, well, what's your religious background? I said, was Catholic, no longer, I now practice witchcraft. And they're like, well, you didn't get the correct teaching of Christianity and da da da. And I was just like, let's talk about Christianity real quick. I said, you realize Christianity is the YT man's religion. It's the colonizer's religion. You also realize that if my family from Galway, Ireland, wasn't colonized by the British, I wouldn't even be here. Like, I would probably be pagan. Okay, just, you know, dancing naked in the moonlight, like, you know, doing my stuff. But yet here we are, and you guys are fighting to keep a religion that literally tells everyone who isn't YT, a woman, or hetero, that you are going to, you know, burn in all eternity to the fiery depths of hell. Like, you can
Worse than that, it tells the real true Christians that they need to unalive. It tells, you know, yeah, it's way worse than that. So
yeah, oh, it's absolutely worse. I was like, your Bible in the Old Testament and the New Testament both allow slavery. Okay, the Old Testament isn't even originally Christian. That is literally taken. The Old Testament is taken from Judaism.
Well, even before that, it's actually from Hermetic and Mesopotamian culture. So that's even more pagan, if you will.
Well, that's why you look at like Christmas, you look at Easter, and they're all of like the equinox of, you know, like spring equinox is around the same time as like Easter and stuff. It's like, and also like you look at a lot of the things that, like, I know obviously more about Catholics. Oh my goodness, there's so much witchcraft and like watching what my fellow Catholics used to do.
Yeah, I was even thinking about that the other day. Like, they really tout, the one true God, but even just within Christianity, right? You have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, right? And then even in the very first book in Genesis, it says like, we did this, and I talked to them, and like the gods, there were gods, multiple, conferring with each other.
Originally, there used to be multiple.
Yeah, and so it's like, you know, that's just Christianity, but then you go into Catholicism, it's like you have Saint this and Saint that, and the angels and the cherubs, and it's like
literally have
so many
a spell to find lost things. Dear St. Anthony, look around. Something's lost that cannot be found. And you keep saying that until you find it. That is a spell. I still use that one. St. Anthony has never let me down. I find everything I'm looking for.
I'm only on like season 5 of Buffy, so don't spoil anything for me, okay?
Oh gosh, I love that show though, I'm not gonna lie. I've been like itching to go see Sinners too. Oh,
Oh, I want to see that so bad. And people keep doing lives about it, and I'm like, no, I don't want to. Don't spoil it for me. So I'm,
like,
I have 2 little kids though, so it's so hard to get out. It's so hard to get out.
oh.
But
I mean, I've seen too many
one day,
spoilers, and I'm like, ooh, y'all freaky in this movie. I need to see this.
oh my gosh, no, I love Michael B. Jordan. I love him, and I love the director. Is it Ryan Coogler?
Yes, I believe
Yeah,
that's his name. Yeah.
fucking insane. Somebody said that. What's his name? Who did Get Out and Us and stuff?
Keelan.
Yeah.
Keenan, Michael Key something. Keenan Michael Key.
I never know if it's Key or Peel.
Yeah,
I
something.
know.
Jordan Peele.
It's something Peele.
Jordan Peele. Jordan
Jordan
There it
Peele.
is. We got there,
Jordan
guys. It's
Peele.
okay.
Somebody said Keegan Michael Key is the other one, but Jordan. Brady, don't make fun of me because I don't know. But no, but Jordan Peele's. Somebody said Jordan Peele's movies make white people hate to be white, but Ryan Coogler's movies make white people want to be black. So I was like, okay, interesting. So I definitely want to go see Sinners for sure. I also want to see Thunderbolts. So if I had my way, which is rare and probably isn't going to happen, but I would have a little double feature maybe this weekend if I could. But
I do love Jordan Peele's movies, though.
oh my god, I loved the last one. What was it? About the brother and sister in the sky cloud thing. My
You're
brain
asking
is
someone that's
gone,
also
y'all.
really bad at names and titles.
I know.
I don't watch movies hardly at all anymore.
But I loved it because my big brother is my heart, and it was such a cool thing to see a brother sister relation, especially like a black brother and sister relationship. And the sister is a lesbian, so it's kind of dope to see that relationship. Like it was beautiful. Like I don't know, I thought it was great.
Not many
Paul
movies
said,
can
making
catch
student
my.
loans great again. Again, we wouldn't even fucking have student loans if it weren't for white supremacy. So, yeah, I guess so. Thanks, Paul. Oh my god, friends, I am flagging. It's like 12:30 a.m. here. I gotta get
Oh,
up
sweets, go to
quite
bed.
early. So,
Get your sleep.
Yeah.
but again, because I'm in the UK, you guys, I can say shit without worrying about being disappeared. I don't have to do anything to avoid El Salvador, but stay my ass here. So please let me be your sword and shield. Go to standwithsophie.com, sign up for a free membership to get my Sophie survival guide right away. If you are able to help I'm going to flex on the way out the door. Go to standwithsophie.com because Sapphic and Tasha just let me know that this is my live, so it's not shameless plugging.
She had no idea
it's just plugging.
She's like, so sorry to plug. I'm like, hello?
But yes. So I have a whole survival kit with phone shortcuts you can automatically put on. So if somebody's trying to grab you, you can't use your hands. You just say a shortcut, and it automatically sends your emergency contacts your location. It starts recording. It sends that video out. You can set it to do whatever you need to in case things go down. I have printable action cards in multiple languages, including Spanish, including Arabic, including Ukrainian. So you can keep it on your person at all times if you need to know what to do. You have your numbers, your shortcut ready to go. I have a list of gear that is really helpful to have just in case. I have recommended reading lists. We have live trainings that we do to make sure your devices are secure, your privacy is intact, your vulnerabilities are hardened. And again, we also have secure comms, ways for me to broadcast. So like Sapphic was saying, you don't want stuff in your face all the goddamn time. So if you can just be broadcast when something is important or when things do go down, then that's what we have there. We also have a message board and a secure comm encrypted Signal chat that's just for us. So yeah, please standwithsophie.com. And with that though, I want Sapphic, Natasha, any final words?
Well, I mean, I'm glad I caught you today.
Thank you for
You know, it
coming
was
on.
really great to catch up and get to just, chat about these things and see people go wild and just laugh about
Yeah.
that.
I wish I was there.
It's so fragile.
It
So
was so
fragile.
crazy. Oh, you know what we
But
could have
yeah,
said? We worked together at a DEI organization, and how
yeah.
and that could have been the first thing we said. DEI being cut, it directly fucking impacted us. So yeah, we could have said that.
I love calling out my fellow, snow roaches. So I wish I was there.
I mean, the DNC decided to cut DEI from the Black Women's Campaign also. So I have just a lot of bones to pick with them.
Yeah, yeah. The Democrats aren't where it's at. The
Nope, not
MAGA
right now.
definitely is not where it's at.
No one is doing
And
shit in Congress right now, left or
oh
right.
my God, no,
But
it's pretty bad.
Natasha, if you ever just want to like vent or anything, my DMs are always open. If you have Discord, you can like add me on that. Community is the biggest thing, and it's
Yeah,
super important right now,
it
especially
is.
in like the current climate and with just all of these degenerates in the White House doing whatever they please. So as I was telling like about like a couple of my other friends, like the more people you have in your community, the more that we can carry you. If you
Yeah.
like are just having one of those days or weeks where you're just down bad and you need someone to lean on, we will continue while we are holding you up. Like it's all about community and this specific time, like, and we need to continue with that in general, even when, not if, when all of this shit gets cleared up, because it's going to.
Yeah,
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 yeah. I think that's important too. Yeah, just document, be, as transparent about things and open about things and
Yep,
but also we do have to worry about our safety and
absolutely.
there's just so many
But also
things
not
involved.
forgetting about the small things in life that make you happy.
Right,
Finding
absolutely.
ways to do
right.
those
Because
things
that's
that,
what this fight is about in the end. We want to continue experiencing those things.
yeah, find your joy,
Absolutely.
but also fight like hell.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly. And honestly, that's why like I'm doing this. Because I'm not there, so I can be your sword. I can keep speaking truth to power. I can keep doing my history posts and my law satirical posts and my lives and everything. So we can keep building that community. But also, let me be your shield. Let me again give you secure comms. Let's physically and actively and digitally build that community in a place that can't get taken away like TikTok and is encrypted and will keep you safe. And so yeah, please stay with Sophie.com.
Sophie.com, everyone. Make sure you go to the website, you check it out.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
free membership. Get everything you need to know. Okay.
If you choose to support, you get even more
checklists.
things. So yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you do not support a Black woman and you are not part of the Black community, you're racist. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna. She said it, and coming from the white tea means that it's
the white tea
it's
lady
real.
up here. The white tea lesbian says if you don't do it, you're racist.
Oh my gosh! What's so crazy is my very first podcast that I did for Sex with Sophie was with my Black lesbian friends, and so highly recommend if you guys want to check it out. But I'm also dropping Stand with Sophie, the podcast, very soon. So, Sapphic, I might be tapping you for.
I would absolutely love that.
Yeah, I would love to. I
Maybe
think that would be
tapping you
awesome.
too, girl. Yeah, so just I'll be in touch. But regardless, ladies, thank you for jumping on and being voices of kindness and honesty and sanity. So, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, we appreciate you.
Yeah, we
I really,
do. And
really
thank you for
appreciate it.
holding this space. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. And I hope to be on every weeknight. I was just telling Tasha, like, I've had to take some days off sometimes just because it
Self-care.
can be so
Self-care.
trying.
Yeah, self-care. You
Thank
cannot,
you.
like I tell all my students and all my friends, the teacher voice comes out, but you cannot pour from an empty bucket.
Oh,
Pour. You
yes,
need
yes,
to
yes,
fill
yes,
your
yes.
bucket in order to fill others' buckets.
Oh,
Yeah.
and I hope to. And I hope to be not like what is it? I want to be a faucet, not a drain. And so,
I like that. Yeah.
so,
I love that.
again, we'll end on stayingwithsophie.com. And I love you guys. I hope
Love
everybody
you
loves one
too.
another.
Love and adore you
Right?
guys. Have a
But
great
with
night.
permission, okay? Love one another with
Yes,
permission.
with permission.
All right,
All
friends. We'll
right.
see you guys tomorrow, hopefully.
Bye.
Bye.